What up, y'all? Welcome to Chip and Zay here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. I am Zay Collier. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Special day today. And hey, we got y'all 2 hours, 2 to 4 every day. Chip and Zay, Texas Sports Unfiltered. Like, subscribe. Y'all know the deal. Hit us up on Facebook, YouTube. We on Twitch. We on X, Twitter. We on Instagram. We everywhere. Get the app. Like, we everywhere. We're popping off over 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like, we're doing big things here at TSU, gearing up for another terrific football season, and football never stops here. We're talking NBA Finals, Kevin Durant and trade talks. Arkansas absolutely smoked the game last night. College World Series. Feel so bad for some of them Razorbacks, man. I can't even put the rivalry aside. You know what I'm saying? And just respect the game. You got to feel for them dudes, man. That was brutal. But yeah, a lot going on. Lakers, Jenny Buss, the Buss family, $10 billion sold to the owner of the Dodgers. So that's a big deal. But yeah, a lot going on. Chip Brown will join us shortly. Hit us up. Go to text line. Hit us up in the chat room. Again, y'all. If you have off today, hey, while you off, kick back, listen to Chip and Zay. Like, let's do it. Let's get it. All right. So, I'm in that. I'm in that petty hip hop beef mood, man. I don't know if some of y'all have been checking out what's going on in the hip hop world, but Pusha T dissed old Travis Scott, and it was very disrespectful. Like, it's very disrespectful. So I know not everybody a hip hop person. Y'all know I'm a big hip hop person. It is a very messy business. And yeah, that's that's got me going. That song's fire. Pusha T, Malice, Clips. That song's fire. So yeah, check that out. But let's talk a little Kevin Durant while we wait for Chip Brown, because KD in trade talks, which is crazy. NBA Finals going on right now, and I feel like Kevin Durant being in trade talks has taken up a lot of what media is talking about right now, at least national media. And, KD, obviously, special place in my heart, and being a Longhorn for life. You got the practice facility named after him and stuff. Like, when it comes to University of Texas, Kevin Durant's synonymous with that. So for him to be at the end of his career, dude's 36 years old, and hearing trade talks about him and how some of these franchises and organizations aren't as crazy about trying to bring KD to their team, as I see Chip Brown in the green room. What's up, man?
What's going on?
I was talking to the people about KD being in trade talks.
KD, he's getting tossed around like a cornhole bag.
Oh, it's not that bad.
No, it's bad.
It's not that bad.
He's up in years.
He is 36 years old. Came in
36. It seems like just yesterday he was getting dogged by Swaggy P and Taj Gibson from the USC Trojans. Second round, Spokane, Washington. Really? You're going to spend 8 months with us and you're going to go out like that in Spokane, Washington? Swaggy P's going to drag you down? Thank God KD went on to win 2 world championships.
For what?
Because he didn't give Texas nothing.
I mean, he gave them something. He
gave us some AC Law showdowns in a triple overtime game at Oklahoma State.
And some of the purest basketball you're going to find. I don't think anybody that was going to games at the Drum has seen anything like that up to that point or since. Like, that
I just wanted to see if I could get you going.
Oh, yeah. You always get me going. Chill. That's a pause.
I'm checking on my man Zay.
That's a pause right there for sure. But yeah,
Zay
yeah.
was like,
appreciate it.
What? What are you talking about?
No, you just came in hot. Right.
He was the National Player of the Year.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
As a freshman.
Pretty good.
He's given $10 million to the university.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We got the practice facility.
Oh. Well, good for him.
Although it was part of his Nike contract. So
so instead of taking the 10 extra million from Nike.
So instead of taking the 10 extra million from Phil Knight, he was like, yeah, go ahead, give it to Texas. I still have 240 million.
No. Nike, Kevin Durant, he's made some fine shoes over the last.
Has he? Because I don't wear Nikes. I think they suck.
Wow. Just a shot to fill.
They're heavy. Like, I've never liked Nike shoes. As a tennis player, I can't wear them.
Not even Andre Agassi. Andre Agassi had a fire shoe.
That's the last time I wore Nikes. 1990. Ooh. Terrible. Heavy. Not good. I mean, Coco Gauff plays with New Balance. No one plays with Nike. No one wears Nike shoes in tennis anymore. Nobody. Wow. Not Djokovic, not Sinner, not Alcaraz.
What was Serena?
McEnroe and Agassi and Sampras did, but then everyone realized these shoes suck, so we're out.
What was Serena wearing?
She was wearing Nike.
She was wearing Nike?
Serena was the GOAT. No one could touch her serve. No one could touch her power. She could have been wearing like goat skin shoes. She could have been wearing ballerina slippers. She was going to beat your ass.
No,
so you put some Nikes on her, you get to claim victory. Even though Serena, I mean, you're talking about a killer. We were talking about, is SGA a killer? Serena Williams was a killer. The best before her, Monica Seles. It took a German crazed fan stabbing her in the back with a knife in the middle of the freaking middle of a tournament to get her to stop beating Steffi Graf's ass. Serena, nobody stabbed her. She just kept winning. 22 majors. Not bad.
So it was just live on TV?
Yeah, Gunther Bosch. Gunther Bosch. Crazed fan of Steffi Graf. And Steffi, I love Steffi. Steffi's got the best legs I've ever seen in tennis. What cracks me up is Andre Agassi was dating Brooke Shields. And he put up a pair of Steffi Graf's legs and said, "This is what you need to look like." Brooke Shields was like, "Yeah, I'm out."
He didn't say that.
He did. and then he ended up marrying Steffi Graf. I think that's why Steffi loves Andre. She's like, "You saw my legs. You appreciated my legs before anyone else."
That's a really weird story.
Okay, I'll give you another really weird story. So we're at Wimbledon. We're covering Wimbledon. It's me, John Wertheim, who's like 60 Minutes. He's still covering tennis. Scott Price from Sports Illustrated. And Chris Everett walks in. And Scott Price, who used to be, his byline used to be S.L. Price. Great writer. He says, "Chrissy." So Anna Kournikova is on the TV. And Scott goes, "Chrissy, how's that look in the shower?"
Jeez.
And Chrissy goes, "Oh." We all stop and stare. Her and Steffi Graf. Two best bodies in tennis. If you want to know from someone who has seen them naked in the shower, Chris Everett, two best bodies in tennis. Anna Kournikova, Steffi Graf.
Wow.
Right there. And I love Chris Everett because Chris Everett, everyone thinks she's she's like this proper champion princess. No, Chris Evert was getting it everywhere she could get it, with everyone she could get it.
What does that mean?
She was having a great time. Chris Evert was having a great time. Chris Evert is a baller. I love Chris Evert. Like, she had the best time. Remember, Greg Norman dumped her. She was shocked because Chris is like, I'm a good time girl. Like, no one dumps me. Greg Norman was like, yeah, you got to go. That was a merger. When Greg Norman was hooked up with Chris Evert, merger. Yeah, Chris Evert knows how to have a good time. Listen, I went to school with her sister, Claire. So I have a great relationship with the Everetts. Love them. They live life. They live life. And we all need to live life.
That's right.
We love on this show.
Absolutely.
And we love life on this show. Come on.
Yo, running on the court and stabbing someone's nasty work.
Can you believe it? I mean, no one's ever experienced that in any sport like tennis. Monica Seles. Let me tell you something about Monica Seles. Monica Seles had the best killer instinct outside of Michael Jordan. And I'm not kidding you. You look at Monica Seles' history in pro tennis. She destroyed everybody. She just rolled up on the scene. Steffi Graf was dominating. Monica Seles was like, hold my beer. Started beating her ass into the ground on a repeated basis. And it took a deranged German Graf fan to come out of the stands and stab Monica Seles in the back. 6-inch cut. Ruined her career. She was never the same. Ruined her career.
What?
She stopped. She took a year off. Graf came back, started dominating. Like, half of Steffi Graf's 22. Oh, what she win? 18, 20. Okay, whatever. Half of her majors would have gone to Monica Seles if that dude hadn't come out of the stands and stabbed her in the back. That's how much Monica Seles was dominating. One of my favorite players of all time.
So she hung up the racket. She was done after she got stabbed. That was it.
No. She tried to come back. But how do you have love for the game after that? Someone put a knife in your back.
Paul Pierce. The truth.
Did someone put a knife? Did someone break his skin? Did someone kill him?
Yes.
Try to kill him?
Paul Pierce got stabbed like 12 times in the club. 2000. I just watched that Celtics documentary. No, don't make that face. Don't make that face.
Fuck Paul Pierce. He was in the club. He wasn't in a game. He wasn't trying to kill somebody in a game for the Celtics. He was in the club, probably said some shit he shouldn't have said, and got stabbed 12 times. Paul Pierce, you deserved it. Monica Seles, what? Because she's beating Steffi Graf's ass? We got to stab her? We got to put a kitchen knife in her back?
Oh, man. What's wrong with
Paul
you?
Pierce probably said some bleep he shouldn't have said. Probably was hooking up with some chick he shouldn't have been hooking up with. And guess what? Hey, guess what, Paul? You got stabbed 12 times for all your sins. Monica Seles, her sins were beating Steffi Graf's ass.
Yeah, you're out of pocket, man.
No, I'm right.
Paul Pierce don't deserve that. I'm just saying.
Hold on.
Monica
Hilton. I
ahead.
count on you to do your homework.
Absolutely.
I count on you to give me all the scoop on all the gossip.
I appreciate you trust me with that. I
need you to go back. And I need you to get the facts on this Paul Pierce 12 stabbings in the club. What happened? Who said what? Who was doing whose girlfriend?
Why is that? Yo, you can't
Because
be
Paul
making
Pierce
it-
is part of the greatest choke job in the history of sports until last night's Arkansas baseball team. Now, my buddies Irvin and Bradley, they don't want me to talk about the Arkansas baseball team last night.
Oh, we have to
They don't
talk
want me to
about it.
talk
It's
about
our job. We got to talk about it.
But we got to talk about it.
We have to.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because Dave Van Horn is the new Rick Barnes. Dave Van Horn, who had championship teams at Nebraska, championship teams at Arkansas, gets to the lip of the cup and misses the tap in. Last night, Arkansas, through hell or high water, has the lead 5-3 in the top of the 9th inning. And your boy, shortstop, Arkansas, Hawaiian, Alua Halua. They hit him a ground ball. It's the easiest double play in the history of baseball.
6-4-3. It's right there.
6-4-3. What's he
Right
do?
there.
I'm going to go to third base.
Why'd he do that?
Game over. If he goes 6-4-3, they had one out. If he goes 6-4-3, game over, Arkansas to the championship series. What's he thinking? He comes up with that ground ball. He looks right instead of left. He tossed it to third base. Meanwhile, the second base and first base are like, are you drunk? Are you high? The game's over. Guess what? Next hitter for LSU puts it right through the second baseman's glove. That guy choked too. If you want that out,
I thought it was the outfield. Was that the?
you want that third out? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They hit it to the outfield.
Oh, yeah. The hit to the outfielder. Hit him in the head. Like he slipped around and he's like, oh, I don't know. And it goes right off his forehead. Terrible. Now the game's tied. And then they hit a blooper to second base, goes right through his glove. Ball game.
Ball game.
Yeah. Left fielder. Really? That's the time your cleats are going to slip in the turf?
He shouldn't have been put in that situation.
Right. Should have been over.
Should have been over.
Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. I've been talking way too much. Zay, you love the shortstop at Arkansas. You love him. Azua Halua.
Love's a very strong word. I know he's
But
good.
you were like,
This
this is my guy.
I never said that.
I thought you loved him.
I
thought you committed love
No.
for Aloy.
I know he's nice, though. I respect him. He can ball.
Okay, so you were watching the game like I was, and it's like, okay, double play. It's over. He goes to third base. They had all day to get that 6-4-3 because it was a 2-hop grounder right to him.
Yeah.
And he didn't come to the post-game press conference.
Why
And
not?
Dave Van Horn was like, I'm so proud of my team. I almost feel sorry for Dave Van Horn. He's taking Nebraska teams to the College World Series as the top seed. He's taking Arkansas teams. This Arkansas team, you're up 5-3 in the top of the 9th against LSU, and your only remaining battle is Coastal Carolina. You don't finish the deal?
Whoa, those Coastal Carolina.
Okay,
No,
nothing against Coastal Carolina, but
wow.
your coach is cursed. Your coach is seen as the guy who can't get it done. You got an all SEC first team shortstop. They hit a routine grounder to you. Do you think Troy Tulowitzki would have gone to third? Are you kidding me? Do you think Derek Jeter would have gone to third?
These aren't the
There's
best.
one out. You turn the double play, you're going to the championship series. You go to third? I mean, if I'm Augie Garrido, I'm like, I gotta live with this shit the rest of my life.
Yo, Augie rolling over in his grave right now.
Augie's so mad today because Augie is with Dave Van Horn. Augie wants to go to that shortstop and he wants to hand him the shovel and say, dig 6 feet, throw yourself in, and I'll cover you up. Like you just made a play that I have to live with for the rest of my effing life.
Yeah.
That's what Augie Garrido would have said to Haloy, or whatever his name is. Hawaii Sensation. Hawaii All-American. Haloy. Guy's awesome. We all agree.
SEC player of the year.
He destroyed Texas.
SEC
Destroyed Texas.
Yeah, he's good.
Single-handedly.
He's good.
Like every time he got up against the Longhorns, he was like, that ball looks like a water balloon. I'm going to beat the crap out of it. Arkansas beat the crap out of Texas. Like, they didn't just barely beat them. They beat them into, like, next week. And that guy, all SEC shortstop.
Player of the year.
Player of the year goes to third with a double play to end the game. That guy's going to, he'll never sleep again. Damn. That was the worst play I've ever seen in my life. And all my Arkansas friends, I'm like, are you all okay? They're like, oh my God, I can't breathe. How could that guy go to third?
Oh, man.
Confidence.
And they couldn't let the brother on Arkansas. That was batting ninth. He went yard, or he drove in 2.
That guy would have been the hero.
He would have been the hero on June.
Brother batting ninth would have been the hero.
On June. Instead, a great Juneteenth for him.
Instead, guess what? He dragged that shortstop into the showers and beat his ass.
Wow, why the showers? The showers?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm going for Coastal Carolina. I've been going for Coastal Carolina this whole time.
What?
Straight hate watch. Yes, you know I like Coach. That's my man.
Is he the guy who's like, we don't need any cats?
No, that's not him. That dude's
need some dogs.
Oh, that dude's not there anymore. That dude's not around.
I don't need no cats. Meow. We need some dogs.
Yo, do we have it? Do we have that? I don't know if BK has that in here. That's a classic drop right there.
So good. But, I mean, Zay, on the choke meter, where do you put that?
It's up there. It's up there. It's very Chris Webber timeout. It's very Reggie Bush. I throw the ball when I got a first down and some change in the Rose Bowl game. Like, yeah. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the whole team. They were balling. Homeboy, left fielder, oh, he was rattled. He was balling. Everybody was coming in to console him and hug him and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you gotta live with this for the rest of your life.
Was bad luck, maybe, because he slipped and the turf was, I don't know if the turf was wet. He slipped. He looked like a fool because the ball bounced off his head. But the play, the shortstop.
Yeah.
Everybody was like,
okay.
6-4-3.
And he did it so routinely, like it was natural. It wasn't like any hesitation. Right. It was like, I am going to third. If I get this ball, I'm going to third first. Like it was like he wasn't even thinking double play, which is really odd. Because that dude's supposed to be.
He's the captain.
Yeah.
The shortstop has to know what the game conditions, circumstances are. For him not to come up going to second base, well, I don't get it. And of course, we didn't get to talk to that kid. He didn't show up. His name card was on the.
I like how you said we, like you were there.
Hell yeah!
No, you're part of that media. It's a we. You're right.
You too.
Yeah.
We want to hear from that guy. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Let me hear from the Arkansas fans right now. I need to hear from you. And don't hide in the shade. Come out and say, I'm mad. I'm pissed. Who are you pissed at? You mad at Dave Van Horn for having a soft ass culture?
See, they literally put that commercial before they resume play on any college sporting event. They keep throwing that commercial up where it's like, please do not threaten these college athletes.
Well, I'm not saying threaten the college athletes. I'm just like, who do you blame?
But yeah, you know, Aloy got some hate mail, some hate DMs, which is unfortunate.
Well, I hope not.
No, I hope not either. But you know, Steve Sarkisian says it comes with the territory.
Brutal.
Yeah,
that was horrible. That was one of the worst choke jobs I've ever seen. That was like, here, let me get one hand on there and hold myself steady for the second hand. Now we're choking. We're choking. I can't breathe. I'm choking so bad. That's what that was. That was terrible. That was so bad.
Yeah, here LSU has a chance to win.
LSU fans, meanwhile.
Oh yeah, they partying.
That guy Jared Ford. Everyone thinks it's Jerry Ford or Jerry Jones. Sorry, Jared Jones. Everyone thinks it's Jerry Jones. That dude. I mean, he's had some weird games this year where it looked like he was going to be the reason they lost, and then he ends up being the reason they win. LSU, let's go. SEC, come on. Beat Coastal Carolina's ass.
See, I'm not on the same page. No, we're hating.
You hate the SEC. You hate the SEC.
I mean, I
you
just
hate being in the SEC.
No, I love being in the SEC, but yeah, I don't like them that much. I can't even lie. Just because they didn't welcome Texas in, there was no open arms like it should have been. You know what I'm saying? Like they really didn't pay Texas any mind when Texas was.
You know why? Because they're afraid.
Yeah, they're a threat. Absolutely.
They weren't gonna be like, hey, come on in. Take my women. Take my money.
There's enough women
house.
for everyone.
What?
There's enough women for everyone.
Yeah, but don't tell, the guy you're stealing his women from. But that was like, everybody was like, oh, yeah, whatever. Texas OU. And then Texas rolled up and was like, yeah, we're going to go to the SEC championship game. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to be in that college football playoff. Sorry. Yeah, we're going to win 8 conference championships in the Directors Cup. Hope that doesn't bother you. We're just over here doing our thing. Y'all can figure it out. It's going to take you a minute. But yeah, we're going to roll up in here and we're just going to take it all. We'll take your women. We'll take your money. We might take your house. Yeah, we're going to take that Directors Cup. Y'all might want to make that something to shoot for. Because SEC has never won the Directors Cup until Texas did it. Oh, excuse me. Texas did it in their first year in the SEC.
First year. That's right.
So y'all might want to set some priorities, set some goals. If you can see it, be it. That's what Texas did.
Speaking of,
they rolled up.
Yeah, ain't it CDC's birthday today?
It is. And that's not a good thing for Texas fans, by the way.
What does that mean?
He ain't going to be doing this forever.
Birthday means he's getting up there in years. So why are you thinking so negatively, man?
I'm not. I'm telling you facts. Like, you're lucky you caught me today talking about this.
But Yeah, we'll see why you on one of these, see what we can squeeze out of you in the next hour 30. But how many years do you think he has left, realistically?
I think Texas is lucky if he's still doing this job at 60.
How old is he today?
56.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you'll take that.
You'll take that. You'll take that. Because
oh, wait.
At that time.
No. He's 57.
I'll take that.
You got 3 years left.
I'll take that. I'm sure Texas fans will take that too, because he's going to leave the program in a better place than when he got there.
Oh, God.
So now you could just piggyback off what he left and find somebody that understands what he was doing and has a similar mind. I know that's tough. There's only one CDC.
Dude, that is really tough.
That's tough. I get it. But at least you see
right
how it's supposed to be done.
And that means you need Kevin Eltife to still be the chairman of the Regents Board if we're talking about this in 3 years.
Now, how many years does Eltife have?
Those are 6-year terms. So let me see. Eltife is the man. Like, if people don't appreciate Kevin Eltife, damn. I'm just telling you. Come on. Eltife is 66, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know he was from Tyler, Texas.
Oh, yeah. He is a baller. Okay, his term is up in February of 27. That's not good, but you'll take it. And then maybe if the governor is still of Republican persuasion, maybe Eltife gets reappointed. But
does he want it though? Like 66.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, Eltife might be like, you know what? It's time for me to go buy that house in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
I've served my great state of Texas as a state senator, as the chairman of the Regents Board at the University of Texas. Okay, can I say something that just bugs me to no end?
Speak your mind, man.
This whole Ohio State thing, like, whoever thought that calling them the Ohio State do y'all know, if you ever say that again, you're a sucker who got drawn into the snake pit by the low-life couch burners in Columbus, Ohio. They're so insecure that they had to say, we're the Ohio State University. Do you understand the state of Ohio? It's where Lake Erie dumps out. If you want to set Lake Erie on fire, you do it from the shores of Ohio. It is a dump. Don't ever,
the whole state
ever call Ohio State the Ohio State University again, unless you are a loser, unless you are a pathetic, weak-minded loser. Would you ever call Ohio State the Ohio State University? What does that mean? The Ohio State University? There is no other Ohio University. It's like an oxymoron. You call them Ohio State University or just call them the snake pit in Columbus. Don't ever call them the Ohio State University. That is the most pathetic thing you could ever do in your life. Let's bring in Lance Taylor. I want Lance Taylor to weigh in on this. Lance Taylor is our SEC insider and prognosticator at lanceslock.com. Lance, who would ever call Ohio State? It should just be Ohio State.
Yeah.
The Ohio State University. That is pathetic, weak, and sad.
It's some uppity bullshit's what it is.
It's some insecure
yeah
little brother shit.
Yeah. I've never gotten it. I don't think anybody that is outside of Ohio State, and I really, it is interesting that you bring this up, and I walk into this conversation you guys are having. I really wonder how many Ohio State fans appreciate it, because it's just kind of weird.
Do you know where it came from? Like, do you remember where you first heard people start saying Ohio State?
Honestly, the first time I remember hearing it is when they started doing the individual lineups, like on Monday night or Thursday night football, and it would just be, some random,
Chris Carter.
Yeah, from the Ohio State. Back when they sucked, back when they were no good. There is a little bit now that they've won 2 national championships in 11 years. I mean, it's still stupid, but at least they've won something. At least they're a relevant team. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Pathetic, Zay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Zay.
Are y'all gonna be in this snake pit?
Yeah.
Week 1?
Oh, yeah. I'm going right back to those couch burners.
Okay.
Did I tell you the last time I went there?
Yeah, I think I remember. What year was that?
05.
Yeah.
I get out of my rental car right in the middle of Ohio State Tailgate Central, and I'm wearing all black. And this window licker comes up to me and he's like, "You from Texas?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "Oh, we're going to fucking beat your ass. You should have never showed up. We're going to tear you apart. You're pathetic." And I was like, "You know what? Actually, I'm from Michigan." And he's like, "What?" And his head exploded.
Wait, 2005, was that the or was it after Vince Young? Was it?
No, that was the game.
Okay.
Vince Young versus Hawk and Barbie Carpenter and that great linebacker crew.
Yeah,
Antonio Holmes.
Troy Smith, their quarterback in 05?
Yes, but brilliant Gressel, or whatever his name is, Jim Tressel started Justin Zwick, which was my dream.
I remember that. Yeah.
He went 23 of 25 the week before.
Yeah.
So Jim Tressel started Justin Zwick, and that was just enough for Texas to win because Troy Smith ended up winning the Heisman.
Let me ask you something, since we're talking about the 2005 team, because it came up on the show today. Because we were talking about, if we've got this new model of the 511, if we went back to the BCS rankings and how much controversy was there when we just had 2. And, we brought up really the most controversial we can remember was 2011 when Alabama and LSU got the rematch and Oklahoma State was so pissed. But, they were the ones that lost to Iowa State on Friday night as a 24.5-point favorite. And to me, the rematch played out like there really wasn't an argument. If LSU would have beaten Alabama, then Oklahoma State maybe has got an argument, but Alabama trounced LSU. They didn't cross midfield one time. That was an ass whipping. But anyway, I brought up the fact that, I was just talking about in 2004, Auburn fans couldn't really get upset because USC and Oklahoma went wire to wire regular season 1 and 2. And I still think USC would have walked Auburn off the field. Now, Auburn fans tell me, because it's impossible to prove now. I just remember how good those teams were. And then one of my co-hosts was like, "Well, you never would have thought that in 2005. And I was like, I disagree. Like, I thought Texas in 2005, I think they had just put a 70 spot on Colorado in the Big 12 championship.
70-3.
What's that?
70-3.
Yes, 70-3. And Vince Young was a generational player. Say what you want. I know it's easy to say he should have won the Heisman after that win. Reggie Bush was an absolute stud too. But with all that said, like, it was an upset, but it wasn't like monumental.
Right.
Yeah, like I would assume that, not only Mac Brown, I would assume all of those Texas players thought that they were going to win that game, as good as USC was.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the quote was, Lance, Vince Young said, "Them guys don't know how many guys we have who are gangsta."
Okay.
And Texas hated the quote. Like, all the brass was like, "Oh, don't use that." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" That was the shot fired across the USC bow.
Yeah, we needed T-shirts, or maybe y'all had them back in 2005 for that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Them guys don't know how many guys we have who are gangsta.
Yeah. Hey, they mess up. The UPS doesn't bring the right package. You have no idea how many people in this house are gangster. No idea. You forgot to put my Diablo sauce in my Taco Bell. You have the guy in the back seat. You have no idea. Now you probably get arrested for throwing that out because that's probably just a what we would logically say is a threat now. But I do like that. No idea. Hey, Kelly, easy. Sorry.
Where are you, in Hawaii?
No, I'm at I wish I was in Hawaii. I wish I was there. You know, the Rams are having their organized team activities in Maui right now. I am actually at a rainy dog park. I've got a meeting a little bit. I've never seen anything like this. Not to bore your listeners wherever they're listening. I don't know what the weather has been like in Texas, but we get rain every day, and I'm not exaggerating. When I say every day, I'm talking every day for the last 2 months. There's never been this much rainfall in this condensed period. But it's impossible. I'm glad I'm not a golfer because you can't play, but it's a pain in the ass enough to take my dogs to the dog park.
We need some of that.
What, some of the rain? Well, I'll trade you, man. I'd like me a little dry spell, a little dry snap.
Hey, Lance, I saw an interview with Teron Armstead the other day, and he said the moment when he realized it's time to retire is when he had to face Jared Verse of your Rams. And he said that Jared Verse will be a defensive player of the year before it's all said and done. Do you believe that?
I do. And I hate to jinx him because I was watching some clips from practice and him and Byron Young and how they interact and how much fun they have. And like the guy, he's got to stay healthy. But if he stays healthy, I don't see any reason he can't be. I mean, name, Von Miller, Myles Garrett, any of these great edge guys that we've seen over the last few years. I mean, he had the most pressures in the NFL last year as a rookie. And let's not forget, the guy's only been playing the position for 4 years. I think I told the story on this show of, 2020, he was a receiver at Albany and just started working out during the pandemic. Didn't think they were going to play that year and just beefed up and wanted to try, coming from the edge. And, if it's not for 2020, there's a good chance he's never on that side of the football. But, man, that guy, I can't explain. He doesn't take plays off. And there was a reason that Florida State dropped from, going 12-0, winning the ACC. Jordan Travis obviously goes out. They don't get to a college football playoff. But one of the big reasons, not only Jordan Travis, was Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, another guy the Rams took in the second round. But those guys were absolute studs and continue to be. But I think Verse, to answer your question, Zay, is going to be over the next decade. Like if I'm drafting one defensive guy, and I'm not overstating this because I'm a Rams fan, I think Jared Verse would be the guy that I would take number one.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he's that good. He'll have double-digit sacks this year, no doubt.
Wow. What a great draft the Rams had, because
I used to question him. After, and we talked about this before, the Stafford Golf trade worked out for both Detroit and the former general manager, Brad Holmes, or former assistant general manager, Brad Holmes, who's now with your Detroit Lions. It worked out for everybody. But, Les Snead, I love that trade. But before that, I was like, I don't understand this move and that move and this. And I just gave up because he gets it right.
Well, what's your take on Alabama athletic director Greg Byrne? Like, would you say most Alabama fans are like, yeah, or would you say they're, I don't know?
No, I think they like Byrne. And I'll tell you why, Chip. I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, he's a confident guy. He's been around, from Arizona, Mississippi State. I mean, the guy has earned his stripes. But I think Alabama fans love his dedication to basketball. And, Alabama has always historically had great football programs, and they've won a slew of national championships. And whatever that number is, and I forgot what the latest number that all Alabama fans hold, like 18, 19, 20, I don't even know, something crazy. But Alabama fans have always been missing great basketball. They've always loved their basketball. It's always been good. It's never been great. And now with Nate Oates, it's been great. Now they've approved, these new practice facilities. Sooner or later they're going to get a new arena. But his commitment to basketball, and specifically Nate Oates, I think Alabama fans absolutely love.
Yeah, Texas has to come to Tuscaloosa this year.
I saw that. I can't wait. I do think Texas is going to be so improved, because I think this is finally, Sean Miller had a really good program in Tucson, but I think this is the time, and I said this about Chris Beard, and obviously, extenuating circumstances, but I do think that Sean Miller is going to be next level for Texas. This conference, I honestly think, baseball, you can make the argument, and we'll see what LSU does against Coastal. That Coastal team, by the way, they're a problem for anybody. But I do think the SEC right now in its current state is best at basketball, men's basketball, than anything. And I think it's just going to get better. Like, Texas is about to get better at basketball.
Yeah.
Okay, where do you put the choke job that Arkansas baseball did last night?
Okay, so I'm not going to know any of these guys' names. I was watching, we were hosting trivia, and I just couldn't believe it, because Arkansas is one of those programs, if you don't follow college baseball, and I don't to the degree you guys do, but Van Horn is a Hall of Fame coach. Yeah. And
can't win.
They just
can't win the big one.
It's like Mike Martin and at Florida State. And again, going back to Coastal Carolina, there's a good chance that they're going to win their second national championship in 10 years. And Florida State's never done it. Arkansas has never done it. But watching that play out, I don't know how much I blame the shortstop, on that, where he cuts down the lead runner. Probably would have been a 6-4-3 double play to end the game.
Absolutely, it would have.
I know. And I'm just wondering, though, and this is something we didn't get. Van Horn continued to talk about, I told whoever the left fielder was, not to say he's sorry. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I wanted Van Horn to come out and say, okay, in this situation, up 2 runs, we were playing for outs. We told everybody in that situation on contact, depending on how hard the ball is hit, and that was kind of that was routine. It wasn't really hit sharply. Again, I think it would have been a double play. But, hey, if we told that guy, let's cut down the lead runner, that would be a little more I guess Arkansas fans might be able to stomach it better, because that should have been the end of the game. If you've ever played the position, you were taught to freeze on a line drive. He kind of got caught up. And it was just so flukish, because it goes off the glove and then goes to the left field foul pole. Like, what are the chances? Like, if you misplay that, which obviously he did, normally that ball's still in front of you and you're limiting the damage. It was just, I think it shows you that Arkansas, for whatever reason, a lot of people don't believe in superstition and jinxes and stuff, seems like a jinx baseball program that's really good and can get a long way. But once they get to that point, there's kind of a limitation.
And you know why? Because Dave Van Horn is Rick Barnes. He tightens up when it matters most. He tells his guys, maybe they told him, go to third.
Yeah. I kind of think, that is from what I heard, and you guys would know this more than I do. That guy's a potential first-round pick, that shortstop.
Yes.
SEC Player of the Year.
SEC Player of the Year.
See, I didn't even know that. So in that situation, normally his talent takes over, and, just instinct on that ground ball, 1 out, we're going for the double play here. Like, let's end
for
this.
the win.
Yeah, and that's why it almost tells me, although the ball wasn't hit as sharply as some say, he was moving a little left to right towards third base. But I still think if you've got the killer instinct and they're letting him play the way he normally plays, he's probably flipping at second. They're trying to.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I hate it for that. It's one of those things. If, again, I would bring this back to the Rams, because I don't know another way to describe it, because I went a decade without seeing them in the postseason. Like, if you put all of your time and effort into one team, and I'm sure there's Arkansas fans that's all they do. They're just huge Arkansas baseball fans.
That's
and
it.
Get that close and have it ripped out. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, obviously the kid is going to take it harder than anybody. That's going to be one of those things that lives with him to the day he dies.
Forever.
But these fans, like, I can't even imagine it for them. Like, they couldn't have slept last night. I mean, that game was over.
It was over.
Yeah.
And I know 2 Arkansas fans who were at the game. They were there for the 19 strikeout no.
Wow.
And they were like, I can't believe it. I can't breathe.
Did they at least go to Rocco's and buy some shots?
Yes. They may not be alive right now.
Yeah, they might not be.
They may have gone like 17 shots deep at Rocco's.
Yeah, I don't think I think, and you can try to counter this if you want. I think it is almost impossible to die on Jello shots.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I could be wrong. We used to
That's a good point.
When I was married back in the day, I would have a lot of get-togethers. And one of the things we would do at our get-togethers, it was normally themed, whether it was the Lakers get-together or Rams, or I used to be a big North Carolina basketball fan way back in the day. But
you're not a front runner. Do you cheer for the IRS and major weather systems too?
No. Dickhead, let me tell you this real quick. I didn't start cheering for Carolina until 1985, and so I never saw a championship until 93. It took me all of 8 years to see one. And after like that third championship, I think it was Roy Williams second, I was like, this is boring, I'm out. But anyway, we used to have color-coded or colored themed Jello shots at all these parties. So we used to do a lot of the Jello shots. It was more just for fun and I guess, I don't know, atmosphere. But I never really remembered getting highly intoxicated on Jello shots. Now that was just a sidebar. It'd be like, you know, if you're at a party and there's kind of hors d'oeuvre trays just going by, that's not your main meal. But I think it'd be really, really difficult to kill yourself, to go Nick Cage and leaving Las Vegas with Jello shots.
That's a good call. Yeah. Even the strongest Everclear Jello shots would be.
Everclear is enough. We used to do a thing. We called it, God, what was the punch we used to call it?
Trash can.
Yeah, it was something like that. But we would get the cooler and cut up the fruit. And I mean, it was just straight up PGA and
jungle juice,
Hawaiian punch,
jungle juice.
Yeah, rocket fuel. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, we called that trash can punch.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And you shouldn't.
Yeah, you should.
You make a lot of money. You're very successful. I mean, unless you want to do like a retro trash can punch party.
Yeah, maybe every once in a while, like once a year, maybe.
Okay. I do need to bring it back every now and then. I have not mentally gone into a session saying, you know what? I'm going old school here. I'm going gangster. What was my man Vince Young?
Yeah, them guys don't know how many guys we have who are gangsta.
Yeah, that's what. The next time my crew gets together and we've got the pool party and we break out the rocket fuel, that's what I'm going to say. You guys have no idea how many guys here are gangster that we're about to get on this.
That's right.
But I have not.
Everybody listening to the show today, there is your takeaway.
Yes.
Whenever you want to just get up on your boys and say, you got no idea.
Now, I've partied with Chip a few times, Zay. I've never had the opportunity. I don't know. Do you ever get after it, Zay?
Not no more.
Okay.
He did at the Sugar Bowl when Texas lost to Washington.
Okay.
I really didn't.
Hey, we're all given a pass here and there. I just haven't had that, man, I am going to get after it today or tonight. It's done. But I'm starting to think maybe I need that. Like this weekend, I have absolutely nothing planned. It's supposed to be nice. There's not supposed to be any rain in the forecast on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I didn't have a dog sitter, so I'm not going out of town this weekend. So I might go gangster and get after it by the pool.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
I think that'd be good. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
The lovely Elbel and I are taking our RV out to Lake Austin today.
Oh.
So tomorrow will be an interesting show. Because I'll be lakeside in the RV doing the show. Should be fun.
Well, damn, I wish I would have been part of that one. I wanted to see that.
Right.
I remember got Chip off the golf course today.
Oh, he's been on the golf course today. He's been there today. I don't know if you can tell.
I'm just fired up about, well, anyway, go ahead, Zach.
Ohio State University.
I cannot stand. I make I just don't even hide it. those people are idiots. They're the worst. And I don't know if you've ever been around Ohio State fans in Columbus.
Let me give you an example. There's only one really true Ohio State fan I know that resides here. He actually is in our building. He's got a company. He's super successful. But I noticed he parks his Porsche in the visitor 30-minute parking up front a lot. And I'm like, if I'm in a rental or if I randomly have to borrow a car, the car's been dropped off, I'll sneak mine in there. But I'm not obvious where I'm going to park in the 5 visitor 30-minute parking. But he rolls his Porsche in there with his Ohio State tag. So, I mean, that kind of sums up what you're dealing with.
Guy's a douchebag. Yeah. He's a grade A, 5-star general douchebag. And feel free to slash a tire.
Wow, man.
I think Chip is angling for confrontation.
Right?
Yeah, I'm in. Okay, let me ask you this, Lance. Have you seen the show Animal Kingdom?
You know, it's funny you bring this up, and I'll try to be quick. I had a friend we saw the promos nonstop starting in 2016, NBA playoffs. I saw the original movie, Australian movie, really, really good. I don't know if you guys have seen this. About 20 years old. It was up for Best Picture. I think it won Best Picture in whatever not the BAFTAs. I don't know what the Australian Academy Awards are. But anyway, it was really good. And I was like, they're not going to be able to spin this off and do anything with it. But a friend of mine told me a few months ago, you really need to check it out. Well, randomly, didn't have anything going on Friday night. And I was out on my screen then. And I had watched, I don't know if you've seen The Mortician on HBO. Holy hell. That is next level disturbing. That guy, and I would do it. Like, I have if you put him in a chair right now and you're like, you got to flip the switch, I'd be like, done. I got no problem with it. Just a despicable human being who's walking the streets right now, needs to die. We got a place, we call it the Island. He would be on the board for the Island. He needs to go there. We never hear. He's not contributing to society. But anyway, I got done watching The Mortician, and it popped up on Netflix. And so I was like, damn, I'll watch it. The next thing I know, I've watched 5 episodes. I just finished the first season, or I'm on the last episode of the first season in 1 week. But I called my son the next day, and I was like,
are you talking Animal Kingdom?
I'm talking Animal Kingdom. I was like, There's a show I came across that you need to watch. You need to catch up with me. It's Animal Kingdom. He's like, I started watching it last night. I'm like, what are the chances? It was 2016, and now you're talking about it.
Ellen Barkin.
It's 70 years old now.
I know, but if I told Zay, go watch the movie Sea of Love.
Oh, yeah, with Al Pacino and John Goodman.
Or The Big Easy with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, she likes to throw that poon in those movies.
And she is smoking.
Yeah, she is. I know a girl that I went to high school with that looks just like Ellen Barkin.
I hope you dated her.
And I would throw that out there, and nobody really knew who Ellen Barkin was. But yeah, her in Animal Kingdom, because it's one of those things. I'm sure you guys do it. I'm sure everybody does it. I'll get on something and I'll see somebody. I'll be like, damn, let me Google this. But I was just wondering how old Ellen Barkin is, and she's 71 years old now.
71.
Wow. That's a good guilty pleasure show. Like, I don't know how believable a lot of that stuff is, but it's basically the Australian Animal Kingdom meets Point Break. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Pop an edible, pour a bourbon, watch some chaos.
My man.
Yes.
That is exactly
crazy as hell.
All right. Anything football related? Are you worried about the college football playoff? What format it's going to be? Do you have an opinion? Do you care?
I like the 5-11.
Well, that's what the SEC wants. Is the Big Ten going to go with it?
I don't know. I think the Big Ten wants to dictate. Like, Brett Bielema is kind of like the open cheerleader that keeps yelling, they've got to play 9. They've got to play 9. But if you go back and you look, Brett Bielema at Wisconsin to Illinois, he has averaged 8.5 wins a year in the Big Ten. He averaged less than 6 wins a year at Arkansas. So it's really a dumb argument. I don't know why somebody hadn't thrown that in his face. Excuse me, Coach Bielema. Pretty good sample size here. Based on your record, and it wasn't like you coached at the SEC early and the Big Ten late. It was a lot of years at Wisconsin, good tenure at Arkansas, and now at Illinois, just based on comparable programs, which I don't know if you guys would agree, but I think Wisconsin and Illinois are comparable to where Arkansas is in the SEC. Like, he's killing his argument just based on his head coaching records.
Yeah, come play 9 games like us. I'm middle of the road.
With all that said, I do think the Big Ten wants to finally make the SEC do something they want to do. Like, we're not going to budge. ACC is going to do it. The Big 12 is already doing it. We're only going to continue this and agree to this if the SEC does it. I really think the Big Ten wants to win is what it looks like. But I think 5-11 is the best way to do this. We'll see. Yeah. Hey, we talked about your Michigan Wolverines today. We previewed them. We had them at number 14 in our 40 and 40. And we had on the former tight end who works for the Big Ten Network and Jake Budd. And we were talking specifically about Bryce Underwood. And I don't know if I told you guys this. I was in an On3 event last year in downtown Nashville, and they invited their top 50 athletes. On3 did. And I was talking to a couple of the guys that put it on, and one of those guys being Shannon Terry, who owns On3. And
he's the guy.
And I asked him, is there one guy? Because again, I'm not a big recruiting guy. Is there one guy that is the guy in front of everybody else? And he was like, yeah, it's Bryce Underwood. It's the quarterback. I had heard of him. You know, an hour passes and people are in and out. And this kid walks out with the wife beater on, big chain, just spinning a football. And I went up and I asked somebody at the bar, I was like, is that Bryce Underwood? Because I knew it was. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's Bryce. He's got this aura about him. He just owns the room. So I am going to be complete. I know he'll struggle, and I think he'll really struggle probably in week 2 when they play in Norman. But I think that guy is going to be absolutely fantastic, just based on and nothing outside of how confident he looked in
a wife beater.
In a wife beater, and the fact that he looked like he's 3 years deep in the NFL. That was the body this kid had. Okay. So anyway, we talked about Michigan today, and my point there was going to be, if it wasn't, this is the best thing for Bryce Underwood, that Arch Manning is making his debut as a starter this year, because I really think more people would be talking about Bryce Underwood if Arch Manning wasn't.
What do you got, Michigan? What's their record for Michigan this year for you, man?
I got them at 8-4 or 9-3. They got difficult swing games. Now they could surprise us all. Now, Justice Haynes is coming over for Bama. I think he is going to be, what we saw with Corum and Donovan Edwards. So I think this offense is going to be much better. But they've got swing games at Oklahoma, at Nebraska, at USC. I'm going to say Ohio State beats them in the Big House just because we're playing the do factor here. So I'm going to give them a loss there. And those other 3 games, if they find a way to win 2 of those 3 games, they're probably 10-2 and in the playoff. I think they're 8-4, 9-3.
All right, Jack wants to know, Lance, where do you see OU this year with Mateer and healthy receivers?
I love that Jack put on those 3 final words, healthy receivers now. Because that was the problem. Well, I thought the offensive line was actually the biggest problem. This is what I deal with all the time, by the way, and I'll get to Jack's question in a sec. Y'all, you've got like 10 acres. Go run. We're leaving in a minute. Go. So the offensive line was the biggest problem. The fact that the top 5 receivers were in and out all year last year. You had no confidence in the quarterback position because Jackson Arnold was getting yanked here and there. They were bringing in Michael Hawkins. I think Mateer is going to be a complete stud. I really do. I think it's going to translate coming from Washington State to Norman. The offensive line is going to be a lot better. You do have healthy receivers. Jaden Ott, everybody's going to talk about Mateer. If you haven't watched Jaden Ott the last couple of years at Cal, he is an absolute stud. They didn't have a running back that went over 500 yards. The offense is going to be 10 points per game better, I'm going to say. Venables can focus on defense now. Their biggest problem is their schedule. I just talked about Michigan's schedule. If you gave me Oklahoma's schedule, if you flipped it, and obviously they play each other, I think Oklahoma's 10-2 and in the college football playoff. I think with the schedule they've got, and I'm going to make this prediction right here for you guys. Y'all will love this. October 11th, 5-0 Oklahoma versus 3-2 Texas. Mark it down, book it. That's what you're going to see. Texas will to Ohio State as much as Chip hates it, and then Texas will lose in the swamp to Florida.
You are drunk as a skunk.
We'll see.
They'll beat Ohio State. Now they might lose to the Gators.
Sponsor. I will be drunk in about 2 hours. You got me motivated now.
All right, because I'll put 100. You and me for 100.
I mean, 2 losses. I mean, I can get them for the season not to lose 2 games.
Well,
you got to give me.
I'm putting 100 against the prediction you just made. 5-0 OU, 3-2 Texas.
No, but what I'm saying is, I could go right now and I can get Texas at 10.5 wins. I can play a full season for that. You got to give me odds on that. What are the chances?
All right. You're not buying. I just wanted to see if you were like really feeling it.
I'll take it at 5-1.
What do you like about Florida where you think that could be true?
So DJ Lagway was 6-1 as a starting quarterback. Florida with the 2 Wilsons, they're going to have their best receivers they've had in years. I give Napier a lot of credit. I'm not sold on Napier, but the pressure he had with that killer schedule to win 8 games, they got better and better last year. Lagway, he had the shoulder surgery, but most people are saying he's going to be close to 100%. I think Florida, along with Oklahoma, those might be the 2 toughest schedules in all of football. Texas has got an absolute joke of a schedule again. But
at Florida, at Georgia, at Ohio State.
If Florida and Oklahoma had less schedules, I think both of those are college football playoff teams. I think Florida's going to be really good this year, Zay. I think it probably ends up being 7, maybe 8 wins just because the schedule's so difficult. But I think Florida's going to lose to LSU, and then they're going to come back, and that's going to be one of those Florida 1 loss, Texas 1 loss. It hasn't been scheduled.
All right. Hold on there.
2:30 or 7 o'clock. It's going to be a night game in the swamp. If you guys have never been there.
Hold on, big balls.
We haven't been there. You're right. I haven't been there. Chip will be there.
So Florida plays Long Island and then South Florida. Then they're at LSU.
Yep.
At Miami.
Yep.
Home against Texas.
Yep.
At A&M.
Yep. It's brutal. It's brutal. Long Island, I didn't realize Long Island had a football team. You guys, the mascot?
If I'm Texas, I love the fact that Florida is playing Miami and LSU right before me. I get to see all the film I want of Florida trying to be the best.
And they also get, I know Texas gets Ohio State, but they get really good competition before they play you guys. Anyway, I didn't know Long Island had a football team. They're the Sharks, which is surprising, although we're coming up tomorrow on the 50th anniversary of one of the greatest films of all time, the 1975 classic, Steven Spielberg's Jaws, based on the novel by Peter Benchley, who a lot of this went back into the New York / Long Island shark attacks. And I don't know if you guys know all that stuff, but
can I tell you a quick story about Jaws?
Yeah, please do.
So Steven Spielberg, if you've ever been to Universal Studios in LA.
I worked there.
Okay. You go on the tour, you go on the little bridge, it starts to break down, and then the mechanical shark comes out at you. So Spielberg had this shark that he created.
Bruce.
It would not work. It would not work. It would not work. And they were about to quit the movie. And Spielberg says, let's just film it from the shark's point of view. And they're like, you can give it a try. That's what they did. And it became the best-selling movie of all time.
So I've probably seen, I'm not exaggerating, I've probably seen Jaws 50 times. It's the movie I've seen the most in my life. It's Hitchcockian what he did. Alfred Hitchcock, great director. Me Too would have gotten him shut down quick, but really, really good director, great films. But their shark, they named it Bruce after their attorney because it cost them so much money. But if he never films Jaws like that, and you don't see the mechanical shark come out of the water until Roy Snyder about, 65% of the movie in,
Right. That's the only time you see that shark.
Well, I mean, there are underwater, the only time, but the real grab you moment was that. So I don't think the movie works nearly as well if they don't have the shark problems. And, in that opening scene, the chick that goes skinny dipping and gets slung around, they had put her in this contraption. You might have seen this, Chip, and they're slinging her around and her screams were a real pain because I guess they didn't test it the right way before, but she was getting her ass shaking around. It's a great movie. Great movie. 50
Oh, it's great. That was the first movie I went to where there were lines around the block.
First summer blockbuster.
Yep. And
we went from that to Star Wars in '77, and you know that's when the summer blockbuster was born. And I just don't think you got that
in 1980.
Yeah, which was a complete critical dud back then. It didn't pick up steam until I think it hit HBO. But we don't have the summer blockbusters like we used to have.
Right. Then Terminator and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, Top Gun.
Top Gun, 84.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Top Gun was actually 86. Not to correct.
86?
Yeah.
It was.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. 84. Footloose was one of your summer.
Okay.
Yeah. You throw a year out, I can tell you what the summer blockbuster was. A film.
You're right. 86. 86, Top Gun.
Yeah.
89, Lance.
1989 was the beautiful year that Point Break and Roadhouse were both out in that summer.
Wow.
Little Patrick Swayze doubleheader for you.
Damn.
Love Swayze.
Who doesn't?
Who?
1991 was Terminator 2. That was probably my favorite summer blockbuster that I anticipated the most.
Raise your hand. Also 1989. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Batman, Back to the Future 2. Look Who's Talking to. Ghostbusters 2.
Batman was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer of 91 also was Boys in the Hood and Backdraft.
Yeah. There you go. Look at LT just sitting on his porch coming up with all these mega movies of trivia.
Yeah.
All right, brother. We've kept you and your dogs long enough. Let's do it again next week. Oh, Lance'sLock.com. Hello.
Yes,
What do we got? We got
Game-
College World Series, NBA.
Game 6 tonight, NBA Finals. We've got Major League Baseball up and available. Free play every single day. Jump on. Win with us at Lance'sLock.com. Yeah, try us out. We would appreciate that.
Let's go. $100 a month. Come on.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Okay,
you,
y'all be good.
All right, LT. Let's do it again next week.
Ohio State University.
Stop it.
Lance.
Stop it.
You have no idea. My dogs, these boys are gangsters.
Oh, my God. I love it. I love it.
See you, boys.
Yeah.
Lance.
There he is. Lance Taylor. Bringing it. I mean, am I wrong, Zay? Why do we say the Ohio State University? I never say it. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable to say it. It's Ohio State University. It's any old Ohio State University.
Yeah, I say it because I hear other people say it and I troll them. I never understood it. I thought,
Ohio State or the Snake Pit or the,
Yeah, but Lance is right. Like, I guess the times where I heard it was when the guys would be in the NFL and Sunday Night Football and they introduced themselves and
whatever. Chris Carter got creative. That is a last 20-year thing.
You don't like Chris Carter?
I mean, he's fine. You got to have a fall guy.
What does that mean?
You don't remember?
No.
He's like, every NFL player has got to have a fall guy.
Oh, he said that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you can't be getting your hands dirty. You got to have a fall guy.
Yeah. That's because he was on cocaine his early career in the NFL with Philly. Oh, Chris Carter was on that book of sugar. Yeah, he had to go to rehab and everything. And he got traded to Minnesota. They didn't party as much as they did in Philly. And
He was on the yacht, though.
What yacht?
The Vikings yacht, where they all got in trouble. Dante Culpepper. Oh, you got to go back and Google that one.
Was Randy Moss on the yacht?
Oh, hell yeah. Vikings just Google Vikings party yacht. Yeah. You'll be like, dang, that's how it go.
On
That's
October
how
6, 2005, an alleged sex party occurred on Lake
Woo!
Minnesota with 17 members of the Minnesota Vikings football team.
17 members.
Fred Smoot. Wow.
That was, I'll tell you a little story. That was back when Bryant McKinney was dating Serena Williams. And she dumped him over that.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, yeah. She's like, you ain't getting this. You ain't getting all this. If you're out doing
Serena's wrong for that because she ain't playing no team sports. It's all about her. She don't get it. If I'm one of the youngsters on the team,
she don't gotta get it. She got 64 million.
Who knows if he was doing anything? What if he's just there in the corner sipping on the
Right.
football?
Yeah, the 6'6" guy who's probably hung like an elephant is just sitting in the corner.
Come on. We don't know.
He's just sitting in the corner being like, hey, I got all this extra, pipeline. I'll just sit here chilling. Y'all do what you do.
Out of pocket, man. You ain't right for that.
I got Serena Williams at home. I'm just going to sit here.
Yes. That's camaraderie, team.
Well, she didn't believe him.
Serena
didn't believe him.
She wrong for that.
Serena's like, you want this? You don't do that.
I'm trying to gain the respect from my teammates, Serena. That's what I would have told her. He should have broke it down. Now, if he was hiding it, if this didn't come up in the conversation before he was on the boat, then okay, my man dug himself a hole there. But this should have been a conversation. Like, hey, babe, we're about to go on this yacht. There's going to be women there.
There's going to be 17 of us and a bunch of strippers and hookers.
My quarterback's on the strippers and hookers is crazy. We don't know that. They could have been classy women.
Did you read the Wikipedia?
It said sex party.
Sex party.
Don't mean that they're, strippers and hookers.
Sex workers from Atlanta and Florida were flown in for the party. Those are hookers.
Escorts, maybe.
Sex workers are hookers. They're not dancers. They're not magicians. They are hookers.
If I'm on the
Marina
team,
ain't no dumb person.
She's not, but I'm letting her know, babe. I got to make sure the guys are being safe and smart so we don't get in trouble. And I got to show the guys that I'm one of them. But I ain't doing nothing, baby. I ain't doing. You got to trust me.
Hey, Fred Smoot said by the end there were 100 women present.
Good grief, Freddie.
And on 2 boats. Tell me it wasn't just an orgy with 17 Vikings players, including Bryant McKinney, Dante Culpepper, Fred Smoot. Yeah. Serena's like, yo, Bryant, you've been in this for the last time, my man.
Wow.
Holla.
Serena has a weird dating history.
Huh?
Serena has an interesting, weird dating.
Yeah, she got out her wild days with big Bryant McKinney, and then she married a white guy.
Reddit? Yeah. That dude's pretty good move by her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
Boy Drake for a little bit.
No, don't ever believe that.
That is true. Yes. Did you not see her doing the crip walk on Drake's grave at the Super Bowl when Not Like Us was playing?
Wait, Serena dated Drake?
Yes, and hates him, despises him, can't stand him. I don't know what happened.
I would never claim him, ever.
Wow, come on.
I'd be like, that's a lie.
That's a lie.
Serena Williams. I'm Serena Williams. That's a lie.
Nah, she She dated him. She can't stand him. I don't know what happened during the breakup. You know, Drake, he's passive aggressive. So he's going to say things in songs when he's singing and being petty and stuff that I'm sure only Serena can really relate to. And us just normal folks that listen can assume what happened. But yeah, when Serena was doing the crip walk over,
that was badass.
That was awesome. I ain't gonna front. That was cool. It was petty. That was right up my alley.
That was beautiful.
But yeah, that breakup, oh yeah, that wound's still there for Serena. And she dated Common for a little bit, which Common, go look at his roster of history of women. Rapper Common, my man,
good.
Common's been outside really good. My man Common, they like that conscious rap stuff, That I want to say wholesome, but he ain't no gangster rapper. Very intelligent with his bars, that Common. So you could see how he could be a smooth brother. But yeah. You see the Lakers, Jeannie Buss, my girl.
Smart
move.
Sell high. Mark Cuban and she are big buddies. Cuban's like, sell high, sell now.
No.
And she's like, yeah, it's time. 10 billion.
It's impressive.
10 billion.
It's the Lakers, man.
Remember, 1 billion is 100 million. 10 billion. Yeah, she can put cheese on her Whopper. And remember, she did the Lakers a favor and kicked Jimmy Buss, a.k.a. Tommy Boy, out of control.
Chris Farley, Tommy Boy.
Before you completely drown this family in your stupidity, Chris Farley, let me take over. And so Jenny Buss did. And they ended up with LeBron, now Luka. She's like, I've done what I can do. Jerry, her dad, who was a loon. And Jenny Buss is married to Jay Moore. Remember that?
Yeah, he stays on the first floor. She stays on the third floor. Yeah.
What?
That's weird.
And he was married to that chick, Nikki, big boobs, red hair. She was on some bad sitcom. But if you Google Jay Moore, for him to go from that Nikki girl to Jeannie Buss. So he married Nikki Cox in 2006. And then he married Jeannie Buss on September 3rd, 2023. So they've only been married 2 years. I don't know what the prenup or lack of prenup is, but Jay Moore should be dancing in a bath of tequila over the news that his wife is about to make $10 billion while he's married to her. Because I've said this, and I know from experience, don't ever get divorced in the state of California. If you are going to get divorced in the state of Texas, because they cap. There is no alimony, and they cap spousal support at 3 years. So if you are going to get divorced, and I would not wish that on any single person listening to this show, it is a nightmare for the ages. It's straight out of your worst nightmare movie, whatever that is. If you're a Saw fan or whatever, it's a nightmare. But if you get divorced in California, you are effed in the A, because you are going to pay for the rest of your life. You got to pay that person you're wanting to never see again for the rest of your life. And that's whether you have kids or not.
Yeah.
You get divorced in Texas, 3-year cap on spousal support. So,
yeah.
There's your.
That's how my girl Shawnee O'Neal
for the day.
That's how my girl Shawnee O'Neal did Shaq.
Got divorced in Cali.
Got him. Shaq tried to get in Florida, that divorce. Like, I'm a Miami Heat. No, bro. Your best years were with the Lakers. You was
Texas.
there with the Lakers, bro.
Yeah. Well, look at how long was what was your longest residence? If you have a house in LA and you've had it longer than you've had that house in Miami, you're getting divorced in California. That's what the courts will do.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to look at your residence, where you've been living. You can't pump fake me on this.
Yeah.
The judge is like, nah. You may have houses all over the world, but where's that house you've had the longest? Oh, California? Yeah, you're getting divorced in California. Excuse me. You're getting effed in the A in California.
Yeah, yes, we we clarified that for sure. Yeah, my man Kobe, God bless his soul, he wasn't getting no divorce in Cali.
He wasn't ever getting divorced.
In that whole Colorado thing game, Kobe completely changed. After that moment, Kobe completely changed. We don't even think of that part of Kobe's life no more. Like,
here's the other thing. You'll never get this out of me again. If you've met some hookup and she's like, hey, go back door.
What? Like basketball, like a cut, backdoor cut?
Yeah. That's what Kobe did. She wanted it. But Kobe was equipped, tore her apart, and then she claimed rape. So you better know what you're doing, boys. Otherwise, you could be going to jail.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Isaiah Bond.
Bond. Man, that hurts.
Isaiah Bond. Man, you got to be smarter about whoever. You got to be smarter about whoever you're going to be doing stuff with. There are people out there waiting for you to F up.
Yeah. See, and that's why I say my man Travis Hunter, good. We good, Travis Hunter. Figured that out because Travis, he ain't trying to deal with all that. That's why Travis Hunter got himself a good woman. A woman that's going to support him. A woman that's been there from the beginning.
No one listening to you believes you right now.
They should all believe me.
Not one person.
They should all believe me.
They know you think that girl's a fraud. Why you are backing her up now, I have no idea.
Because people can change. Prove it.
Did you find out you're related to her or something?
No, not at all.
Because you were like, this girl, if he doesn't break up with her like yesterday, he's gonna lose everything. No. Now you're like,
lose everything. See, look how negative you're being. That's like, real love. They just got married. And you're talking about my man Travis Hunter.
You hated her during the season.
Yes, I did. Yes, she was an issue. Yes, she was a distraction. But I also said during that time, she needs to see the goats of the WAGs, like Brittany Matthews, Brittany Mahomes, Aisha Curry, Savannah James. The list goes on. There's a lot of women out here that support their man and are cool with being in the background and allowing their man to do what they do, for sure. And I said she could learn from that. She could learn from that.
You're going to say Carmelo's girl too?
Lala? Carmelo? Well, I mean, that's a different situation. Like Lala.
You're going to say Pippin's girl?
See, that's not
Huh?
that's the wrong advice. And Pippen got with her when he was way past the Bulls and all that. Like Larsa Pippen always talks about how she didn't even know Mike. Like there was no double dating back then because they weren't together until Pippen, I want to say it was with the Trailblazers and stuff.
The Jailblazer.
Yeah, the Trailblazers. That Pippen. But yeah, Carmelo, that was just KG being crazy when he called Melo's wife Honey Nut Cheerios. She tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios. That's how you get somebody out of their game. And they try to
That is one of the best lines of all time.
Oh, it's a GOAT line. Melo tries to downplay that like it didn't happen that way. And Melo will never admit what really happened or what KG really said for Melo to crash out like that. Because Melo was waiting behind the scenes, like waiting in the locker room for KG to come out. I'm telling you, it's Kevin Garnett. Like, yes,
Kevin Garnett is the best.
He's the best.
Paul Pierce is a dolt.
That's
if we're getting into the 2008 Celtics, we will go to the war because I'm like all about Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. You can have Paul Pierce. That dude is a phony.
Crazy. You're
phony.
Phony.
He's
the man
phony.
was stabbed 7 or 12 times, and he went to the Hall of Fame afterwards.
He was on the biggest choke job Kansas team of all time.
That's not his fault.
1997.
That's Roy's
You had
fault.
Jacques Vaughn, Paul Pierce, Rafe LaFrance, and Scott Pollard. And you lost to Arizona and Miles Simon, Mike Bibby, James Dickerson.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. You had 4 NBA lifers against a bunch of, Mike Bibby's pretty good. But
besides Paul Pierce, Scott Pollard, nobody talks about Scott Pollard's career. Nobody talks about Rafe LaFrance. Jacques Vaughn, maybe. Jacques Vaughn, a little bit of credit.
What do you mean?
What you mean?
Rafe LaFrance was a first-round pick. He got $76 million from Mark Cuban.
Rafe LaFrance was softer than Sharman.
Thank you. That Kansas team with Paul Pierce was softer than baby poop. Biggest choke job ever. Highest #1 seed. And they lost to Miles Simon and James Dickerson.
You can't catch me saying a bad thing about the truth, man. Paul Pierce is a legend. My dad and I would watch Paul Pierce film.
Who was responsible for the 08 Celtics World Championship?
Who was
Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, that's true. But Finals
Not
MVP
Paul Pierce.
Finals MVP was Paul Pierce.
That was the worst call of all time. And you know it.
You
know it.
I don't. I don't know it. I think Paul Pierce is incredible. Hall of Famer, top 75 all time. My pops and I would watch Paul Pierce film because we were both a little husky. So my dad was like, hey, you got a little tummy like Paul Pierce. You could do some of the things that he's doing. Use that body to create separation on that jump shot. I owe Paul Pierce a lot to my game. That 10-5 that you saw on a regular basis.
Really? That guy's got to be your childhood inspiration?
He's one of them.
Everyone listening to me is like, yeah, Paul Pierce. Meh.
Nah, Paul Pierce, the truth. If your name's the truth, your nickname, come on, man.
He never should have had a nickname, ever. Who gave him that nickname? Himself?
Shaq. It was Shaq. Paul Pierce. The same season, I want to say he got stabbed. The same year. He goes back to Inglewood, where he's from.
Inglewood, up to no good, baby.
Drops like 40-something. Gets the dub against the champs that year. And then Shaq was like, oh, Paul Pierce is the truth. That boy, you see what he did tonight? He's the truth. So
that's after Shaq got his ass kicked by the Pistons in 04.
That was before, but
he anointed him as the truth before 04?
Yeah, like 01. And it stuck because people were like, yeah, Shaq's right. This dude.
All right, we can move on. This is depressing. Paul Pierce.
Old doo-doo pants. Now that was weird. Him going
give me that.
There.
What happened?
You remember 08 finals, game 1, the one where the Celtics won the finals. Paul Pierce like hurts his knee and then does the whole Willis Reed thing and gets wheeled off in the wheelchair. And everybody's wondering, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? And then Truth comes back and the crowd goes crazy at TD Garden and he hits a couple of big threes. And the rumor went around that he shitted himself. That was the rumor. And it was really his knee, but the rumor was he had to go number 2 and have them bubble guts, and they had to carry him off because if he would have made any quick movements, it would have got a little messy on the court. You know what I'm saying? But
that's the kind of stories we need about Paul Pierce. So unimpressed. But anyway, I'm not jaded or anything about that 97.
Yeah, why does that mean so much? Like we talk about that a lot. We've talked about that before. Why is that?
Because Roy Williams never did a thing at Kansas. And he was the guy who always had the best talent because it was the best money could buy. Let's be honest.
Wow.
Oh, for real. That's not even a thing. And they always did less with more. And to me, the 97 team was the epitome of less with more. Then he finally gets to the Final Four with Kirk Heinrich and white guy.
Nick Collison.
Nick Collison played for the Thunder. And they lost to Melo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hakeem Warwick. No shame. That 2-3 zone was ridiculous.
Yeah, lost to one of the greatest players ever. Carmelo.
And Jerry McNamara was drilling threes that season.
Oh, he was so good.
Little white guy like McConnell.
Yeah. Well, McNamara had range, man. You knew he had no chance in the league.
I want to say he was like 5 of 6 from 3 in that game.
Something like that. He hit some big ones against Texas, too, the game before.
That's what I'm saying. Against Texas.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was 5 of 6 from 3 against Texas.
Well, people forget it was the high school 3 back in the day. So that's
that
high school 3's a chip shot for a lot of those.
I can hit that shot.
Yeah, that's knockdown. So somebody like McNamara that had range too, yeah, that's tough. But yeah, Roy, his Kansas days, he would always get there. He always would get close and could never do it. And I feel like it was because he always was looking at Chapel Hill in that job. Like, I don't think he was fully invested in the Lawrence because he knew once that job came up for North Carolina, I am gone. So I'm out, yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He always wanted that gig. He was a Dean Smith.
Remember when he jumped down Bonnie? Oh, man. CBS report, Bonnie Bernstein. So Kansas loses to Syracuse. Bonnie Bernstein, great reporter, CBS, asks him about the game. And then she's like, I think a lot of Kansas fans want to know if you're going to North Carolina. And he's like, how could you ask me that right now? What's wrong with you? And 2 days later, he took the North Carolina job.
Yeah. Trash.
There's a way to do that. You say, you know what? I'm not going there today. Today's about this team. And, it's all about these players. Thank you, Bonnie. If you want to make out later, we can.
Wow.
But thank you.
So you wanted Roy to get canceled?
You know what I mean? You don't go, how could you ask me that, you bizotch? Like, you might as well have been like, you bizotch.
All right, let's see what he said. I'm getting this clip from Twitter. I'm about to pull it up. Let's see what Roy said back in, what was it, 03, 04?
03.
03, okay.
Very sensitive.
If they offer you the job, though, would you be willing to take it?
I haven't thought about that for 1 second. And the guy in your ear that told you have to ask that question, as a journalist, that's fine. But as a human being, that's not very nice, because it's not very sensitive. And I got to think that in tough times that people should be more sensitive. I could give a shit about North Carolina right now. I've got 13 kids in that locker room that I love.
Coach, thank you.
Damn,
What a douche.
bro.
I could give a shit about North Carolina. 2 days later, he was coaching for North Carolina.
Damn, Roy, I don't remember that. Wow.
Roy was a douche. I mean, just say, hey, today's about these kids. What a great effort they gave. Thank you, Bonnie. You look great.
Why do we keep talking about Bonnie? You look great.
I like Bonnie.
Do you?
Yeah. Bonnie and I.
She's still in the game?
What now?
She's still around? She's still in the game?
I think she's teaching now. I think she's like a professor.
Oh, okay. Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roy Williams probably shattered her dreams right there. Like,
I mean, oy vey. These coaches. You think we're asking you the deepest, darkest secrets of your double private life. We're asking you about a coaching job that you're undoubtedly going to take. Like, she had brass ones to ask that question because she was right. And he's like, that's just not very sensitive. And, I could give a shit about North Carolina. I got 13 guys in there who are bleeding, and I'm going to F them over in 2 days and go to North Carolina. But F you for asking me that question. Come on, Roy. And Roy was a douche because Kansas was about to get popped over the Bill Self stuff. And North Carolina was right there. They had their hands all over it. And Roy was getting ready to retire because he didn't want to deal with all the NCAA ramifications. And then the feds dropped the case because they realized this is like the ultimate white collar crime. We're putting assistant basketball coaches in jail over recruiting promises that are now legal. But anyway, so Roy thought he was getting fried, sent to the chair. They dropped the thing, and Roy's like, oh, yeah, I'm not retiring. We're good. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Let's win some more.
Let's win another one. And I think he did win another one.
He definitely won another one. Yeah.
He's a douche.
I love Kurt Heinrich, though.
Oh, yeah, I love Kirk Heinrich. I love Nick Collison.
Yeah,
Nick Collison, blue collar, tough guy. Not very skilled, but man, the guy was such a scrapper and a hustler. He made it. He had a decent NBA career, I think.
Oh, he had a really good NBA career.
Nick Collison?
Nick Collison, yeah. Like he was like there.
Played defense.
Yeah. Smart, like great leader, great vet. Like one of those guys that put his arm around the rookies and teach them how to be professional.
Like Alex Caruso. I'm going to teach you all the dirty tricks that are going to keep you in this league when you look like me.
Yeah. Cason Wallace said Alex Caruso is the first ball teammate he's ever had.
Come on. They're a bunch of brothers who shave their heads.
But Cason Wallace, this is what, his second year in the league? Like, he's young. He's never been around nobody that looks like Caruso. But yeah, we'll see. I want a game 7 bad, man. Tyrese Halliburton said he's going to give it a go. We'll see.
We got to have, for the Pacers, we need our boy Mathunas.
Mathunas, who the hell is that?
Matthias, who?
Benedict Mathurin?
Mathurin.
Wow, Matthias. I don't know.
That dude's got to show up again. He had 27 that night. He was awful the next game. Like 0 points. I get it. It's like a lottery ticket. You play it, you better maximize it. Because you get Benedict Mathurin to score 27. Probably not going to happen again.
Yeah.
But we need our guy Miles Turner. Miles, you better show up.
Yo, and Pacers fans are killing him too. Like, Pacers fans are really salty about Miles.
What do you mean?
I mean, you threw out his stats the other day, like from round 1 and 2 to the Eastern Conference Finals to the finals. They need him to hit threes. Like, they need that to happen. That's just the Pacers. They're at full form when he's knocking down that 3. If he's missing that 3 at the 5 position, it changes up everyone's game. It doesn't allow Tyrese Halliburton to get those easy looks that he gets to the rim because you're Hartenstein, you're helping a little more. Like, he's just gassed and he's a little hurt. I mean, everybody's hurt during this time of the year, but you could really tell with Miles Turner. Like, he's a lot of grimacing, a lot of penguinish walks, just like something's bothering him, but he knows it's the finals. And how many opportunities do you get in the finals? Like, it don't matter if you're hurt, you got to try to will it out. But yeah, they need a huge game from him. If they could get that, I think we see a game 7, but Jalen Williams, that's the issue right now. You put so much.
You love you some Jalen. Should he be the finals MVP?
I think it's tied between him and SGA right now. I think it's tied. I think whoever has the better closeout game will get it, to be honest. I mean, SGA is averaging 32, so that's still impressive. Like 32 points in 5 games in the finals. You're hooping. But Jalen Williams, that he's showing everybody that he's one of the top players in the league. And again, his game is just so awkward, like the finishing and, you know, his ball handling ability, his passing is underrated. He's a all defensive team player. Like, he's as versatile gets in the league. And when he's your number 2, seems like that's wearing Indiana down. And obviously Halliburton with that calf injury, that doesn't help nobody either.
Okay. Well, let's get to the right call.
Let's get it. First, though, got to give a shout out to McCall Custom Homes. If you're thinking about renovating your home, trust the experts that have been doing it for over 40 years. Kitchen, bathroom, outdoor space, wherever in the house, McCall Custom Homes are your guys that will take care of it and will turn your home and make it something truly special. So if you want to check out their work, check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Search for @McCall Custom Homes. Give our guy Mike a call at 512-633-9580. That's 512-633-9580. Or shoot him an email at mike@mccallcustomhomes.com and go to their website at mccallcustomhomesatx.com. They're licensed, they're insured, they'll work with your insurance. They're the best. So it's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home. And Covert BK, Covert Automotive Dealership, that have been doing it in the greater Austin area for over 100 years and been doing it well. It's hot out here. if your AC's out, that check engine lights on, if your car's steady smoking and stuff, with this heat, you don't want to deal with that stuff. Go to Covert BK, get yourself a newer pre-owned vehicle. They will work with you. Whether you need to trade in your car, doesn't matter. They will work with you. 7 terrific brands to choose from: Buick, GMC, Ram, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Cadillac. It was an easy process with my wife and I. We went in, we saw our guy, Marcus. He hooked us up. He was very patient with us. He answered all my wife's questions. We came back the next day and we went home with our Buick Encore GX. So you want to be like us, go to Covert Bee Cave now. Check out their website, covertbeecave.com. Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, well, this put a smile on my face earlier today. Adrian Peterson in the headlines again for the wrong reasons. As we know, Adrian Peterson got a little violent with his son not too long ago. That wasn't a good moment for AP. Well, this isn't as bad, but it's pretty damn bad. Apparently, Adrian Peterson likes to gamble, likes to play poker. He was at some poker event where it got a little spicy, Chip. Something happened with his hand and another person's hand who was a part of the poker event, and hands started flying. Check this out. Yo, AP getting his ass whooped.
Yeah, he was.
AP was getting his ass whooped. AP got snuffed a few times by old Joe Schmo with the dad bod. My man was only about 5'7" in there throwing bows, throwing hands at AP. Man, AP, that's a bad look, bro.
That Justin Gaethje looking dude had like some that dude's had some fights under his belt. He knew how to get that first punch in and then get out, baby.
Yo, AP, man. This ain't it. This ain't what you should be doing with your career, bro.
Come on, AP.
This ain't it. That whole all-day thing.
What was he playing, some poker?
Yeah. Little Texas Hold'em. Nothing crazy. And it got spicy. Dude said, yo, I don't give a damn who you are. You went to OU. I ain't scared of you. How tough can you really be? You know what I'm saying? This is the shot right here, Chip. This is where it got nasty. Look at that. Right. Look at my man catching AD slipping. That's right. A haymaker.
That's a straight right.
That's a straight right. Like, look at AD's head.
He's like throwing these big loopy punches. Yo. And old boy's just stinging him with that jab right up the middle.
See, bro, if you would have went to UT, maybe you would have been taught some things, you know, because AP loves to talk about how Texas never recruited him, man. He was waiting.
Oh, they recruited him.
He acts like they don't. He acts like they came too late. That's what he says. Like I've seen him.
He said he didn't go there because they weren't winning championships.
That's what he be changing the story. He be
and
changing the story.
He and OU got their butts wrong by USC in 04, and Texas went and won it all in 05. AP never won shiznit, and Vince Young's got himself lifetime status after winning his in 05.
Yeah, we got to show that again because as a hater of Oklahoma, this needs to be shown twice, man, because Adrian Peterson fighting and getting his ass whooped at a poker event, that is not what I had on my schedule this morning, but hey, here we are.
He was getting stung, just little jabs.
When he slipped and fell, and my man got him with a couple of uppercuts, yo, my man won that fight. I don't know who he is. Can we get him on the show? Can CB find out who he is? We get him on the show, ask him what happened, ask him how it came to this, where he's just sticking Adrian Peterson in his face 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5, 6 times. That is rough.
Little Justin Gaethje getting in his jabs on AP. AP throwing those big loopy punches that he would get stung with a couple of straight jabs by the time he unloaded that big old loopy right.
See, I bet your homeboy said, yo, AP, I ain't your son. I fight back. I whoop your ass, bro. This ain't, pick on somebody your own size, Adrian Peterson. Yeah. That's a bad look, though, man. All seriousness, like, it's not no Texas OU stuff right here. How you go from a former MVP, you're a future Hall of Famer. I don't know when he's going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. It has to be soon. He's been out of the league a few years. I know, he was on his last leg and Father Time really caught up to him, but he was still stealing money from some franchise, like the Redskins, I want to say.
Vikings.
I don't know who else. After the Vikings, though. Like, he was stealing money for someone. I think he went to Seattle for a little bit, Arizona. Yeah, so how'd it go from that to this? Like, that's just, I don't know.
That's awful.
It's awful. It's not good. It's not good at all.
Thought he made some tough decisions when he decided to share with the world that it's good to hit your kids with a switch. And then this.
All right, here you go, Chip. CB sent this to me. There go your girl.
Yeah. Ellen Barkin. She is so fine in those movies. Big Easy and Sea of Love. You got to check it out, though.
What movie is this?
This is Sea of Love.
Sea of Love, okay.
So, who was it who was going to make the movie? There was a different guy who wanted to make the movie, and Pacino said, no, I'm going to make the movie. Ellen Barkin was already committed. Al Pacino wanted all day, every day on the set with her.
I'm sure.
And he got it.
You a Pacino guy? You a Pacino
Yeah.
fan?
I mean, hard to go against The Godfather. And what was the movie where he's blind? I think that's the one he won the Academy Award for. Let me see here now.
He's blind.
Yeah, man.
Son of a Woman?
Yes. Son of a Woman. Those are his best. Godfather, Godfather 2, and Son of a Woman. I mean, obviously,
Not Scarface, not Heat.
Scarface.
Yo, don't sleep on Heat, man.
Heat with
Robert
De Niro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
That's one of the best shooting scenes out there. But
I'll go with that.
all right, man. Great show today, man. A lot
Hey.
of good laughs. I had a great time. Appreciate
Great
you.
show. I'll be coming to you live from the RV tomorrow.
There we go.
Hope that works.
Let's bring in those open gym guys.
Bring
Patrick.
it in.
Oh, my man,
What's up,
Sean.
fellas?
Hey, what's up, Zay? What's up, Chip?
What's going on?
How we doing?
Hey, man, Chip, I don't know what you're on today, whatever you took before the show, but I want some of that. I'm all about it. That was coming after it. You don't like Paul Pierce more than Bob Ballou doesn't like Tim Duncan. I don't get that. That's
Crazy.
Did he steal
Paul
your
Pierce.
championship? What did he do to you?
I
Show me
just-
on the doll
I
where
had to
Paul Pierce
cover him in
touched you.
Kansas. I thought he was a phony. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I should have given him more credit after that. I just could never do it. I just thought
Well,
he was
listen, man.
so bad. in 97. Go back and watch that NCAA tournament.
I loved it.
So
Man.
bad.
That was fun to watch today, Chip. It was fun to get you down there. We'll let you take a break now and rest after that.
Sure.
Tomorrow.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Welcome into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Myself, Patrick Davis, joined today by Sean Redford from the Hornet Takes podcast. Sean, I appreciate you hopping in from my man Matt.
Absolutely, Patrick. Thanks for having me, man.
Yo,
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Matt is traveling back from the Elite 11 camp where he was checking out Diabell and all the other quarterbacks. So he is flying back right now, so he couldn't be on. But we appreciate you hopping on with us, Sean, as we get into some college football talk. We'll get a little college baseball from you to start off the show, too, because I have not been watching since Texas got knocked out.
Oh, wow.
I stopped watching college baseball at that point. It becomes more annoying to me at that point when other teams are winning and my team's not. So I tuned out at that point. But I know last night was crazy. And,
last night was nuts.
Yeah, I saw some of the highlights from last night, and that's one of the ultimates, just a team falling apart at the very, very finish line. Like, have you ever seen those videos of runners where their legs just go out? Like, you see them on that last run, and they're like kind of bumping into the side rails and stuff trying to get in. That's what Arkansas looked like, just trying to get there and just falls.
Yeah, like the wheels just completely came off, man. It's I have no love lost for Arkansas whatsoever. I will always kind of be happy when Arkansas loses at basically anything, but when they have a really good team like that and they're poised to like take it to the next level, but man, you just hate to see. I like good baseball. Like at this point, if they were playing Texas, I wouldn't think twice about it. I'd be like, yep, we won that shit. That was us, baby, all day. We made them make the mistakes, all that good stuff. But just watching it as a fan, it was really, really hard to watch that because just multiple times they had it won. I mean, they had battled back twice in that game already to get the lead. And then they just do it in the top of the ninth inning. And as an LSU fan, you're probably sitting there going, man, I don't know if we can do that again. Like, I don't know if we can come back again and do that again. And holy crap, just everybody's banging on the kid out in left field for misjudging that line drive, which, by the way, line drive's probably one of the hardest things to judge as an outfielder. But he's not even really the guy that I would go cost him the game. Wahiva Aloy just, for whatever reason, decides to throw to third instead of turn a double play. And it was a hard hit ground ball right to him. I mean, it doesn't get any better at that level to get a ground ball. I mean, to turn a double play. And I don't know what was in his head. I don't know if he thought maybe there was 2 outs. I really don't know. He didn't show up to the post-game presser.
Well, because if it's 2 outs, you get the easiest.
You would, or second
first,
maybe.
If there's 2 outs,
I agree, but I don't.
So I think he maybe thought there was no outs, or maybe I don't know what it was.
Maybe that's probably a better scenario. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, because even at the score, if you go, well, there's no outs, let me get the 2, and we're still up by 2 runs at that point.
Right.
So even if we get that guy in, it's fine because they can't sacrifice him. They can't. So like, even if they get him in, we're fine. So take out 2, and we're an out away.
Yeah,
it was all time brain fart at the worst possible time.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it tonight on our show. Is Arkansas cursed, man? Because they make the finals in 2018, and there's 3 guys standing around a pop fly, all staring at each other in foul territory. Nobody catches it. A few pitches later, game's over. I don't care. I can't remember the exact details of it, but Oregon State comes back and wins the game on an at bat they shouldn't have had. So yeah, man. And then I mean, the margin of error in baseball is so small. Then to get it done, a line drive right at the second baseman that just can't quite pull it. I mean, it nicked just right off the top of his glove. Those kids have got to be sick. That coach has got to be sick because he's never won one. So he's just got to be, and no guarantee they come back. What is it? Tonight, I think they would have had to play game 2. Tonight or tomorrow night, they would have had to play another game against them. No guarantee they win that one, but my God, just to have your season end like that, man, I almost feel bad for him, but it's Arkansas. I just can't do it.
No, it is. And it's just those compounding mistakes that, especially in college sports, you see because they're kids and they're really, really young. And So when you say you're 19 years old and something goes wrong and you're like, well, we just blew it. And you're like, not yet, but you will if you have that attitude.
Exactly.
And then that attitude seemed to purvey of, man, we had our opportunity. And like, you're still up 2 runs. Just close it out. Just close it out. And yeah. After that, it was all downhill. And that's it falls into one of those crazy. And the worst part about things like that is like, it's exciting to watch and they're good games, but it's not good for the sport to have a game end with, well, the fielders suck.
Like, yeah, I mean, everybody made a mistake.
Anything great? It was just the fielder sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it was nuts because I think there was some kind of throwing error that kind of got them started at the beginning of it. Like the beginning of the whole thing wasn't even the drama, the dramatic pieces of it. It was like a little mistake that just keeps you alive. And I don't know, but I think my picks made it to the finals. I had Coastal and I had LSU, so it'll be the only time I've ever been right my entire life. So I'm gonna gloat on it for a long time, especially if my pick wins.
All right, who's your pick to win it all then?
I think LSU is just too tough, man. We were talking about it last week on the bullpen with Mark and Zach, and they both took Oregon State and Arkansas, and I don't hate those picks, but I was just really surprised by the lack of love for that LSU team. That LSU team pitches really well. They're a pretty good fielding team. I think they have some problems at the corners, like a lot of teams do. Those are tough positions to play. And then they hit the ball really well, and they're clutch. They just do Tiger stuff, man. When that team gets in that stadium, it's like you're playing the umpires, you're playing the Tigers, and you're playing like the ghosts of, I don't know, like a blue blood team that just doesn't lose a lot when they're there. So. I got LSU. I mean, I really like that Coastal team too. I think they it's hard to judge those smaller schools like that throughout the season. But man, they've just run through the field so far and done it really impressively. I mean, I don't think they don't have a chance. It would not surprise me if they figured out a way to win it. But I think just looking at the rosters, LSU's got a lot of bullets in the chamber to fire at them.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those where you're like, you kind of want the SEC team to win, and they're better. But I mean, you can't root against. This is one of the few sports, especially major sports, where a team like Coastal Carolina can actually win it all.
100%. And I will find myself rooting for them the entire time. There's no doubt about it. I'll be watching them. I won't mean to, but like they'll have runners in scoring position, and I'll be like, man, I hope this guy gets a hit. Like, I hope this guy gets a hit and just make this thing chaotic. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, because it feels like if you're at Coastal Carolina and you walk into that locker room and you see a national championship in like 10 years, you're like, so was that like Division II? And like, no, D1. That was real thing. We won it all.
Yeah, we won the real deal.
No, there's NIL has ruined that. There's no way you could do it. Like, we got enough money in there. We can figure it out. So you always like to hear those stories, especially now when we get so much bitching and complaining about the game will never be the same and only powerhouses can ever compete ever again. And so when you see a Coastal Carolina, it's cool to see that. I mean, even in softball, we just saw it. It was Texas versus the team that spent the most money.
Yeah.
and I can safely say that with Texas Tech, that I'm assuming that they spent the most money. I don't have the figures in front of me, but I'm assuming that one.
No, I think you're probably right. And I think the really interesting thing is they went out and went shopping again already. Yeah. I mean, I think they got commits from like 4 All-Americans from across the country that jumped in the portal. And there was I saw some kind of stuff about they're using like the Matador Club or something to get in contact with players, so they're not technically breaking rules, or they're not technically tampering. Really interesting how these schools will just figure out a way to get around the rules.
Oh yeah, no, that's I can't remember who it was talking about everybody. I think maybe Lenora Sellers was talking about it, of all the teams, maybe, or Diego Pavia was talking about it, and he was like, all the teams that reached out to him, and he was like, they're not reaching out to me, they're reaching out to my family. And they're calling my brothers, and they're calling everybody, and those are the ones where so they're getting loose offers from people that are associated to the school to people associated with him. Yeah. And that's a shady area where you can't really punish anybody. But it's crazy how that happens. Yeah. And for Texas Tech, I don't know who's trying to sleep with a softball player, but it is apparent that someone with a lot of money is trying to sleep with a softball player.
Yeah, it is weird. You know what's funny about we live in Lubbock, so I work around a ton of Red Raiders and know a lot of those folks. They have heavy booster support on football, basketball, softball, and they have almost none in baseball. But I think what I've heard is that Tadlock, the head coach there, and he's got a lifelong contract. I mean, I don't know how. Do you just make it so bad for him that he just wants to leave? Because once you do that, you can't really fire him unless he does something wrong. Yeah. Anyhow, he's got a lifetime contract. He's an old school guy. He doesn't like the whole NIL thing. He's a lot like a Nick Saban, the way he coaches and the way he sort of just goes about his business. And we all saw what that did to Saban. So they're going to have to get on board because they had a terrible, 100% terrible year this year.
But I mean, like, look at Dabo Sweeney. Dabo Sweeney figured out, I don't like this, so I will have somebody in my staff who deals with it for me.
Sure.
And then I still have the players, and so I go pick the players, and I do this. And if they say, hey, we can't, I go, okay, I don't need it. If they were trying to barter with us, I ain't here to barter. But you make sure Cade Klubnik gets paid. Because you make sure that no one else can call him up and go, we'll give you $3 million. What are they paying you? Nothing. No, we'll pay you $3 million. Come on over here. So, like, I think he understands that enough where he's like, the players that comes to are like, dude, we're not broke. I know Dabo doesn't like it, but we're getting paid and we should be. Like, they're making hand over fist of money, so we can get some of ours. But I think that there's ways that they're working on it now. And at Texas Tech, if you have that, you go, get a player coach or somebody out there just be like, you handle all the money for it. I won't touch it. I don't want to deal with it. But when I call a player, I can go, you talk to this guy about money. You talk to me about everything else.
Exactly.
And I'll handle all that. And he'll tell me yes or no. But I don't worry about that anymore. And I think that that's kind of the new way for some of these old school coaches who don't want to deal with it. Mike Gundy's got to get that guy in Oklahoma State. They also got to find someone to fundraise too, though.
That's
like
true.
Clemson's easy. Clemson had some money around it. Oklahoma State, they don't have the money around it. So they got to figure out a way to get somebody in there to raise some money. But yeah, Texas Tech's got all the money. Got oil money, man.
Yeah, and it's not just that. I mean, that's the big piece of it. Obviously, that's where the billions are, right? But there's a lot of guys in Lubbock that are big time boosters that they got money to spend on stuff.
Yeah. No, and it's especially in places where the price of living is not as crazy as you go to California and you're like, well, yeah, you're worth $20 billion, but your house is $15 billion. So it's lowering what your actual net worth is. Where in Lubbock, you're like, I have a mansion. It costs $350,000. I'm fine. Yeah. I got plenty to spend. But yeah, we used to when I worked for a band, we'd go out there and play in Lubbock, and that would be the one where people would tip you for a song and pay you $100. It's like, all right, that guy's got it.
We're playing
fine.
that
He
song.
Just looks like everybody else in the room, but that dude's clearly got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get it. But yeah, so you got LSU feeling like they're going to come through in the College World Series. I'll probably tune into that because there's not much else. I just hadn't tuned into it a lot throughout the last couple weeks. And then it was one of those things. It's like once your team gets knocked out, and I'm like, I don't other people cheering for their teams gets me more than anything else. It's every time.
Yeah.
I don't like the happiness
there's a grieving
of
process. Yeah, there's definitely a grieving process, but man, I the way I kind of look at it is I'm starting to get really old. And there's only so many college baseball seasons left. So I gotta cram them all in. I've said before, and I didn't do it this year, obviously, but I would go out to Omaha to watch all the teams play, even if Texas wasn't there. I just love going out there and watching those games. I just think it's a really unique and really neat environment. It's not often you get 8 really solid teams. And they're not always the best teams. Everybody will say that it's the 8 best teams. I don't think it's the 8 best teams. I think it's the teams that were playing best. It's the best 8 teams at the end of the season at that point in time that'll get out there, and you don't get to see that a lot in many sports. So I think it's cool. It's a good place to go spend a few days and drink a lot of beer.
It's the other good part. Yeah, you can drink some beers and enjoy some baseball.
Exactly.
That's a good call. Yeah, I always have I try not to burn myself out on baseball before the NBA is done. I try and stretch it out as long because I'm like, I know over the next few months, I'm watching baseball every night for the next, because there's nothing else going to be on. So
you ration yourself.
So I ration myself. So it's not like by the time we're getting to playoff baseball, I'm like, I can't even watch this anymore.
Yeah.
Too many. See, too many double plays. We're out.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The older I get, the more I can just watch baseball. I could watch, like, I don't know, if I had a Korean channel and there was just a Korean game on, I could just watch Korean baseball, I think. And I would just sit, I wouldn't have any idea what was happening.
Sped up a little bit more too. It's really easy to watch baseball now because, you know, you'll turn away for a minute and like look at your phone and then look back up. You're like, inning's over.
Yeah. Yeah, it
How
can.
did the inning go over? Where before you look down your phone, you look back up and you're like, and he's checking it first again.
Yeah. That cost me a beer. That cost me a beer at Fenway, man. I got up in the middle of the 7th inning to go get a beer. And I said, let me go to the bathroom first. Let me beat the rush to the bathroom. Then I'll get down to the beer stand. I'm walking up to the stand or walking up to the little food court stand and they're closing the gate. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Oh, it's the end of the 7th inning. I said, there ain't no damn way. I got up in the middle and our seats were close to like getting out. Like it wasn't like I had to walk a lot to get out of there. I was gone 2 minutes. It must have been the fastest inning in baseball history. It cost me a beer at Fenway. I'm still bitter. I'll always be bitter about that.
That's the one, man. It's a foul balls. Hit the fact. Just
draw the contact, man. Keep it outside the lines. Let's go. I need a beer.
Yeah, that is. I'm my drinking skills are. I would have been there. Like I need 2. As soon as I see the 7th, I'm gonna need 2 more beers.
Yeah, I screwed up. I screwed up, man. I shouldn't have tempted fate that way. But I usually that works, but it didn't.
Usually
this time.
No, that's the other one I always do when I go to a concert. There's a website, setlist.fm, if you've never seen it, but it's got set list to all these shows. So you can see when set, and I won't look before the show, but then when I'm starting to get there and you're like, all right, it's time to get a beer and piss, I'll look and I'll find the song that I know is the piss break beer song.
Right, the one you don't care about.
And when the one before is wrapping up is when I'm headed to the bathroom. So I'm ahead of the line of everything. You're just like, how'd you know? And you're like, well, I've just made sure to check. And I was already walking out because I know the end of that song. We'll be good. I'll watch out and walk out and go get it. But I'm very adept to the making sure you get. But I mean, hell, the way things are now, you get one beer and you're like, well, and until I put a loan, I'm not going to be able to get another one.
Yeah. I see all these dudes doing the 999 challenge.
That's like $300 now. $200.
Yeah, it's crazy. Also, like I love beer and I you know what? I don't think the beer would get me. The hot dogs, I think, would definitely get me at my age. I don't know if I could hold down 9 hot dogs.
Not with beer not with 9 beers on a hot day.
Yeah, and they're not the small beers anymore. These are big boy 16-ounce beers now that you get in the cans at the baseball game. So yeah, I mean you're really technically you're drinking what? 9. You're drinking like 13 and a half beers. Is my math right there?
I can do the 13 and a half beers, but yeah, with the 9 hot dogs in the sun might be a problem.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to try it. I've never tried it.
I tried it at my house though. I don't need to go out and do it. I do it at my house.
That's a good idea actually. Do a test run at your house, see how it goes, and then you can take the show on the road and see if you can do it for social media and all that stuff, right?
You don't
put it up on the show.
Because again, at my house, 9 hot dogs and 12 and 9 beers is like $15 maybe.
Yeah.
Very affordable to do there. I can get 12-ounce beers if I want them. Hell, I'll chug like the first 3. We won't have a contest by then.
Yeah.
Got to roll through the end.
And now it's so easy, man. Like at Dish Falk, they have the little thing. You set your food down on it. You can't even see it because you're wearing sunglasses. You don't even care how much it costs. You just tap to pay and you're out. And then you get your credit card bill and you're like, holy shit, I spent $1,500 on beer this weekend at Dish Falk.
Yeah, no. I think maybe like a minor league park. Maybe a minor league park has the right prices for it.
Yes,
I haven't been to an Express game in a while. But.
Yeah, a lot of those places will have like $2 beer night and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like on a Thursday, some random weeknight. Yeah.
Then Express used to always have $1 hot dog night too. So you'd be like, all right, but the hot dog will be $1 and the beer will be a little better. The beer will be cheap. Yeah, that way I could go with that route a little bit easier. And I feel like the minor league game as well. Maybe it would take longer. I don't know if they strike out quicker in at the Dell Diamond or not. I have to figure out what the actual length.
I've been there a bunch. I can't remember. I have consumed a lot of beers in Dell Diamond watching the Round Rock Express.
I used to be out there a lot more when I was working for radio stations that would be out there all the time. And you'd go out there and you'd be like, all right, we'll just stay for the game. since we're out here giving away stuff in front of the stadium before the game, and then we'll just go in and hang out, watch 3 or 4 innings, and go home.
Absolutely.
Just enjoy yourself. We get
Good
get
time.
in up free, so why not have a good time out there? Let's get into. I wanted to talk to you about this. I've talked to a little bit with my man Matt about the college football playoff formats. I know it's back in the conversation because all of the heads and all the commissioners are now getting back together, and so it's been stirred back up again about going to the 4 automatic bid format, or the 4, the top 4 teams get, or the conference champions basically get automatic bids, and then it's 5 plus 11. I'm still in. I think we're fine at 12. I think 12 is completely fine. I mean, 8 is the real number, but 12 I'll live with.
Yeah, I think you're chasing money when you. I mean, there's not.
Of course,
there are not 16 college football teams with a legitimate shot to win the national championship in a playoff format. There just isn't. There's probably 16 teams maybe that on any given day could figure out a way to get a win in a national championship game. But you cannot play through all of that. There's not 16 teams that can play through that consistently enough to make it. So it's absolutely a money grab. And I don't like, I don't like either one of those formats. 5 and 11 seems like the most logical to me of the two. The whole SEC gets 4, Big Ten gets 4. I don't know why they think anybody would agree to that. Because that's fine for today. You can say today all the SEC's tough, the Big Ten's tough. I don't think anybody would argue that. They're the premier college football conferences right now. But it didn't used to be that. The SEC kind of used to be a joke. Like back when the Big 12 was coming up, the Big 12 was like the big conference with the Big 10 as well. The SEC was not good at football. And then they got good at football, and now they've sort of been dominating football. But what happens when at some point when you're doing this 4-4 deal where the Big Ten and the SEC, what if they fall off? And then you got 4 automatic teams that nobody wants to watch anyway. I just, that's not fair to me. That's not a long-term solution.
No, and in reality, the whole reason they want it is because the Big Ten realizes they don't have 4 teams that should be in it every year. And I mean, in all reality, the SEC probably doesn't either. They have 4 teams that would get into it every single year right now. But I don't know if you need 4 teams that, if, Alabama gets in last year, they're not winning the national title with Jalen Milroe. It's just not happening. So we know they're not going to win the title. So even though they get in, it's not a big deal. Or if Ole Miss gets in, they weren't going to win the title. So you could say, that one is bad. But then to put in an Indiana or a, Illinois or one of those teams for the Big Ten, you're like, y'all would be the 9th team in the SEC. There's 8 better teams than you in the SEC. So you guys don't belong in this. You don't need to be in this conversation right now. And that's the way I keep describing the Big Ten, as a woman with a really pretty face, a big chest, and nothing else going for her. And that is what the Big Ten is. It's very, very top heavy, and everything else is just awful about it. Because I mean, their bottom is very bottom. The SEC's bottom now. You go, Kentucky's still not a good football team. Vanderbilt is still not a really good, but they were competitive last year at least.
Yeah, I mean, they gave some teams some fits. Sure.
And then you look at, Northwestern and Purdue and some of the schools that were just god awful last year. And I know Purdue's been up before, but Northwestern never has. So, it just feels like the Big Ten one is, there's 2 sides of it, because the Big Ten understands I think they're just trying to leverage their current national championships. Because that's really what they have going for it. Again, killer at the top, but they won the last few national championships, and they're trying to leverage that into, we need the SEC to play 9 games. That's all we're really trying to get them to do, is beat themselves up a little bit more before we get to the playoff. I don't really care about the automatic bids. I'd like to get 4 because it's unfair advantage to us. But at the same part, I also really, really, really want the SEC to get a 9th game, because we understand how much more of a detriment that is to them than it is to us, because we're at least giving 1 or 2 cupcakes on our roster from the SEC, from the Big Ten. In the SEC, I mean, we were looking at Texas. If you look at what Texas would have to add, there's not 2 more teams. Maybe Auburn would have been the team that would be the easiest, but it's still Auburn. They're not terrible. Some people are picking them to be decent this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not buying it, because I'm not buying Jackson Arnold as a huge upgrade at quarterback, but that's you look at that and you go, whatever team we'd be adding to our schedule to make that 9th game is not a walk in the park. I mean, it's equivalent to your Illinois and your Indianas, which are your 4th best team.
Yeah.
So I just it seems like it's really just the Big Ten kind of posturing that the SEC is being bullies because they're good right now, but they won't always be. Like, I get it. Why do we need to change it? And then why do we pretend that we're not going to change this again in 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. And that's what I don't get. Like, why can't we just get something and keep it and just say that's it? I mean, Division 1 AA has been doing it for how long? They got a format and they went with the format. And yeah, the same teams end up in it almost every single year, but that's because they're the best teams.
Yeah.
They just consistently go do that. Or, I wouldn't hate the 4-4-4 thing or whatever it is, the 4-4-2-3, whatever the hell it is. Yeah. If the NCAA said every single game for the higher seed is on campus except for the national championship game, then I think it would be cool, because imagine just being a college football tourist and going around to all those places and watching playoff games. I think that would be cool. That would make me hate it less.
Yeah.
But I still hate it. I mean, if you're going to do auto bids, you just do the conference champions.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is the auto bids only work in the fact that it means that the conference championships still matter. And like, that's the reason why you keep those, is because, okay, now the conference championship games still matter. Because if you take those out, those games really become obsolete and unnecessary. And you'll see people sitting players during those games and, oh, we're down 20. Screw it. We're out of it. I don't care that much about this. We're trying to win a title. And I don't know if Texas would. I don't know if that's in Sark's DNA as much, but I know it's in Lane Kiffin's. I know it's in some other guys' DNA, that they're like, dude, I'm trying to win a title and I don't care about anything else. So I'd be curious to see I think the 5-11 is the best of what they proposed. Again, I think what they just did of, 5 and then the next 3 and then reseeding it to where it's no longer the automatics get the buys anymore. I think that's probably better. I think we'll see this year, but I think like 8 is really the number. 8 is the number they should be at, but they want the money, so they're not going to go to 8. They're not going backwards. No. And it doesn't feel like they have no one is having the conversation of keeping it at 12. So they keep going to 16. But it really feels like this is really all about the Big Ten trying to force the SEC to get a 9th game. And we saw Brent Bielema come out and say, well, we all voted to keep it at 9 and play an SEC game, and the SEC voted that down. I'm like, I don't think, because the SEC on the other hand said they were up for it. So one of you is lying.
Yeah. Like,
one of you is lying. I think what you said is we will play 9 and do the SEC game if they play 9 and do a Big Ten game. And the SEC says, no.
Because that's 10.
And y'all,
yeah,
because y'all's conference sucks. And you will see that we'll walk through you. Because even on our worst day, we're going to win 10 of the games.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because there's just not that many good teams over there. So even if we put, like, Vanderbilt's going to kill your 16th team. Kentucky will beat, Mark Stoops will go out there and he'll beat your 15th or whatever 14th team. So those teams will do it. And yeah, if Alabama's playing your 6th ranked team they're going to win by 40. Like, so your real matchups are Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, and Penn State. Like, those 4 would probably be decent matchups. Other than that, everybody else is kind of a toss-up, because even Illinois and Indiana didn't play anybody. You look at their schedules, they're not that bad. And I know USC's trying to get back up, but they still got to travel, and they haven't been getting back up.
No, they are not getting back up at all. The whole thing's kind of a mess, man. And that's, what's a fun idea for me? 12 teams or 16 teams, I don't care necessarily. Yeah. But just let the BCS rank it. Go back to the old BCS formula, because the problem with the BCS formula wasn't the BCS formula. It was that we were only taking 2 teams to be able to play for a national champion. And then you clearly have the 3rd team and the 4th team that have an argument. I think by adding more teams, the one thing we have done, at least in principle, is take away the argument that if you're the 9th team or you're the 13th team, you weren't winning it anyway. But then it ultimately goes back to what it always goes back to, which is the money. They want to get in so they can get the money. and I don't hate that necessarily, but I mean, I like to make money, but man, it's just crazy how so much has changed in what, like 20 years, 25 years of college football.
No, and like, because the BCS, in all reality, again, I don't think they're picking the wrong teams. I don't think there's any necessarily, like, because if you can just go to computer, it's basically the same. So I looked up what the BCS would have been against the college football playoff last year. And so, and the BCS, Notre Dame's 3 instead of 5. Texas is 4. Ohio State is 5 instead of 6. Penn State drops down to 6. Then you get all SMU drops down to 12. So Arizona State jumps up to 10. You get Clemson being a little bit higher at 13 as well. South Carolina's 14. Like it's still the same. Like, so the same teams get in either way. It's the seeding changes a little bit, but it wouldn't have changed that much. And it's just like, so it's not that much of a difference. And I don't think that people, all it does is take away any accountability, because now you just sit there and say, well, a computer said it, so what can we do about it? Versus having a committee of people where they can at least go, this is why we chose this, and have some accountability for it.
Yeah, I mean, you get the accountability factor, but I don't. If you can all agree on what the metrics are and what the measurements are, if everybody can agree on that, which is probably a completely different story, but if everybody can at least live with that, there's no bias in the computer. You're going to punch in some numbers and it's going to spit out like top 12 teams and say, these are your playoff teams. I think there's probably some bias, even though they say there's not, with a group of people getting in. I mean, and there's also just bad optics. Like you've got athletic directors of D1 programs, current athletic directors sitting on committees. You can't tell me that there's not a little bit of shadiness about that.
There is, but again, like what I said, the same teams would have got in on both. And so it's not that different. The one thing that really changed the most was Notre Dame gets a pretty high seed. And I don't think Notre Dame should have got a high seed because they lost to Northern Illinois. And it has to mean something that they lost. Yeah. Like you can't be 3 if you lose to a terrible team. You should take some hit for that. And so the one thing it really changed, I'm not a big fan of, because it changed a way where I was like, no, that was just one loss. And you're like, that's the whole thing in college football. And that's what we're trying to salvage some meaning of still in the new playoff era, is that every game does matter. But if you can now say every team gets a mulligan, you can go out and lose to any, it does not matter that one game you lose. You could lose by 95 points to Central Murray State and nobody cares.
Yeah.
But, and then you're like, well, yeah, but we still they played for national championship. And it's crazy to think that, because, I mean, years ago, everyone would have said, no, you lost that game. Your season is over. So I appreciate the facts. I think it did at the end of the year make more games interesting, because I think there was more teams that you were like, oh, is this team actually going to get seeded here or wherever? I think there was much more football that really mattered in the last 2-3 weeks of college football than there normally was, where there's probably 3 or 4 teams that are actually in the hunt and you can go get it. So I don't mind it there. I still think 8 was probably the right number, and it kind of gets blown out of proportion past that. But it feels like, going to 16 is going to take away even more of that. If you put in the automatic qualifiers, it takes away all of it, because you just sit there and go, well, Ohio State could lose their last 2 games. They're in, because they're leading. So it does. These last 2 games mean almost nothing to them. I get their seeding. I get there's a bye. The buys didn't do anybody any good last year, by the way. So no pun intended, but that is, it is just, I get all of it. The BCS versus college football playoff, I prefer the committee, because I prefer actually having a conversation where, like the Florida State thing, Florida State would have made it to 2 years ago. And I'm thrilled they didn't. I know I'm on, that's a divisive issue still with Florida State people, but they would have gotten smoked. It wouldn't have been close.
They did get smoked.
They did, but they just wasn't in a playoff game.
Right.
So it wasn't a free pass for the playoffs where you could rest your starters at the end of the game because you're up by 35, 40 points. So I think that there's that world of it, but on the flip of it, that doesn't even bother me that much. The automatic qualifiers bothers me because it is a free pass for teams that don't necessarily need a free pass. Like if you're spending all this money and then you say, I need another advantage, I'm not with that. I don't think you need that. I think you're fine. The Big 12, be happy you're getting a team in, but 2 is absurd to put 2 automatic qualifiers from the Big 12 right now. They just don't have 2 teams that deserve to be in it right now. Maybe they will this year. They sure as hell didn't last year. They have 2 teams that deserve to be in the college. Because, Arizona State helped put Texas to a hell of a fight, and they would have got smoked in the next round. And they should have got smoked by Texas. They just had too many brain farts and, made 3 or 4 bad plays, and Arizona State took full advantage of those. And then also Burt Auburn, Auburn. So all those pieces.
You just brought up some sadness. So, but I think what you're saying though, like illustrates the point of why the AQ deal is stupid, because you said this year they might, but last year they didn't. So what are we going to do every single year? Go, oh, well, this year we think, we're not like allotting crab quota to the crab fishermen out in the Bering Sea. Like we're not like, just take the 5 conference champs, and then however you want to figure out the next 11, I don't care. I think another tragedy of college football is this whole business with and this is going to be sacrilege for a lot of people, probably, maybe even you. I do not like how the SEC just plays a bunch of bums at the end of the season. Like, I think that needs to get fixed. I don't necessarily have a problem playing bums. Play them at the beginning of the year like everybody else, and then play your schedule and play your real teams and get ready to go. Because it's you said it, the last 2 games don't matter. That game does not matter. It's probably less than 1% of the time that game is a loss for the SEC team.
No, that to me is like analytics. It seems like a good idea, but in the end, it'll cost you a lot more than you think it will. And like it's gonna, it's a let up for your team. I just don't like it. If I was a coach, I wouldn't want to do it. And as a fan of the game, I don't think it should be allowed, because
I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Texas play freaking, I don't know, pick a team, Sam Houston State in November. I don't want to watch that.
No, and I don't want to have the conversation every year of, is this a bye week for them? Is this a game where they're trying to get basically a free bye week late in the season where they can get, whatever they, I hate that. I wish there was a little bit more regulation in, scheduling non-conference and all of that across the board. Unfortunately, they're bitching and moaning about all these other really inconsequential things, but none of them want to force anybody to play a tough schedule. We want SEC to play 9 games. Just tell them to play a hard non-conference. Everyone should have to schedule one decent non-conference. Doesn't have to be great, but at least Power 4 non-conference. You have to play at least one. The Big 12, that was a day you had to play at least one Power 4 non-conference. And Notre Dame counts. We'll count Notre Dame in that. But you just got to schedule one of those, and they can't be at the end of the year. Put them all at the beginning. We get them out of the way. We're treating it like preseason. We always have. You try and schedule those out. If you're a commissioner, part of your job is to go to the schools and be like, can we spread these games out over 3 weeks so we can have good games where the SEC has a premium game every week that we know. So we have Texas, Ohio State week 1, and then we have Florida, Clemson, or whatever it's going to be week 2. We have those premium matchups every week. So we are still the prime spot and the most watched game every week. That's going to help us in recruiting overall, keep our brand high, and we can do that. And we don't schedule these patsy games at the end of the season. I'm with you 100%. And Texas doesn't do it for 2 reasons. One is because the Big 12 wouldn't have allowed it, and so they just never did it. And I think now with CDC, he wouldn't want to change it, and Sark wouldn't. He's like, why would I want to go back to that route? Yeah, we're doing fine the way we're doing. We're playing good football at the end of the season. I don't think I need to do that.
Yeah, it's the one piece of ammo that the rest of the country kind of has against the SEC is they can say, well, dude, you're playing McNeese State or Murray State or, whoever else in November. Like, that's garbage. And I don't mean to diss on those teams. Like, I think it's good that those teams get the opportunity to play some of these big schools, because without that money, they wouldn't be able to operate. A lot of those schools schedule those games to pay for their football season.
Yeah. No,
they're not making millions of dollars.
But that's the thing, is schedule one good non-conference, and then you can get a couple other ones. Texas will play Sam Houston State.
Right.
It ain't like Sam Houston State's going to go in, but you're like, no, but that's fine. We play it early in the season. It's part of our preseason. It's where we work about a bunch of young guys into the game, and you try and figure those out. But like Illinois talks about, don't schedule anything easy. Last game of the season for Illinois is Northwestern. So they don't have room to talk about it.
Fair enough.
As much as they want to say, so I'm with you 100%. I hate it. But also you can't talk about it because you're playing a garbage team your last week. I get it was scheduled for you, but it's garbage.
Fair enough.
So
yeah, it's an interesting conversation. What do you think will end up happening?
I think it'll end up being 5-11 for the 16-team playoff. I think that's where it'll end up being. I do think that there will be a little bit more conversation about they're going to keep trying to force SEC to schedule 9 games. I just don't know if the SEC is ever going to agree to it, because I know there's at least half the teams don't, like at least 6 or 7 teams don't want to do it. Yeah. And the teams that do don't necessarily really want to do it, but they're open to it.
I think, kind of the one out the SEC has with that conversation is the SEC, I think, pretty regularly schedules some pretty tough out-of-conference matchups early in the season. So it's like they can say, not all of them can say it, but I think the conference as a whole can probably say, hey, man, we're playing Ohio State. We're playing Michigan. We're playing USC. We're doing all these big, Clemson. We're doing all these big matchups early in the year so people will have something to watch. Give us a break at the end of the season.
Yeah. No, and don't make us play in the 9th game. Like Alabama's playing Florida State this year, first week of the season. So that's their bigger game in there, which, I mean, when you scheduled it, probably seemed like it was a bigger game. Sure. I mean, at this point, they were got off. Well, I mean, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when they had Jordan Travis, they were the 4th best. They were probably the 2nd, 3rd best team in the country with Jordan Travis. Without Jordan Travis, not so much, but with Jordan Travis. But then you look at like Georgia. Georgia doesn't play anybody. And so you should get on Georgia and be like, dude, you're the best team in the country. Like you've been the most powerful team in the country for almost a decade now. You can't schedule Marshall, Austin Peay, and Charlotte.
That's bad.
So they got Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech is their, and then Georgia Tech's their closer. So Georgia Tech is their best non-conference.
Their premier
because it's a rivalry game.
Sure.
And they play that at the end of the season.
I'm down with that. I'm down with the rivalries. They won't always be up and be big games. I mean, the game last year was awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm all for playing Georgia Tech. I'm also for you putting somebody else legitimate on that non-conference schedule.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Put somebody else in there that, maybe another Power 4 team. Doesn't even have to be a great power. Put somebody else in there. I am curious how much. I know Texas has got games coming up with the Big Ten, another one with Michigan, and then, of course, the ones with Ohio State. But I'm curious if there's more trouble scheduling SEC versus Big Ten like now. If now there's kind of a holdout, we're waiting to see because we want to see if this will actually go, or if the teams that are at the top anyway are like, we don't really care. There's when we were in the Big 12, there was always Texas and Oklahoma and everybody else. And so they would bitch and moan about something happening in the Big 12 and go, we all need to do this. Texas go, yeah, okay, whatever. We're going to go do what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You can tell us we can't do it, but we're going to go do what we're going to do because this is not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like, what are you going to tell us? We are paying for the bills.
Exactly.
So it feels that way, but I'm curious to see what will end up happening. It feels really, really to me like, I also think that there's been a lot of the conversation has been somewhat of a smokescreen to push it to 16 without the conversation. Like to make the conversation about something else about the 16 instead of diluting it even more, because they know that conversation when it went to 12 was already, people were like, that's way too much. So they're trying to stick in the next 4 teams and make those next, 4 games that they're going to play. We'll basically get rid of the bye weeks and say, we're going to play all of those games because we saw how much money we made on that first week. Imagine if we added in more games. And so I think that's what they want to do.
I'm just a huge fan of getting them to the campuses. There was a huge difference in the ticket costs to go see Texas play Clemson than there was to go see anything else. And so
Texas didn't said that and the money didn't go to Texas, which sucks.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Get them back on campus. Get all these games on campus and let the fans of the schools, like the actual people that care, go to the games. That's how you make everybody forget about all this, in my opinion.
But the problem is too, it's like you did on campus. All of the rules are set by the College Football Playoff Committee. So like Texas did not get say in parking. Texas didn't get say in seating costs. Texas didn't get say of who got first dibs at tickets. Texas didn't get to keep any of the money. They just basically had to run a college football playoff game at Texas at Darrell K. Royal.
Yeah, but season ticket holders got a chance to buy their tickets.
They did, but there was still a lot of them pissed off about it, which you saw after the fact, because they were like, wait, why is everything so remarkably different? And then apparently there was waiting periods. I know they're going to try and make it better this year. Hopefully we'll, we're still in the 12 team this year, so hopefully we'll have a bye and, not have to worry about it. I know it's fun to have the game here, but I'd prefer to be the number one team in the country and have no losses. Personally, I'd prefer that. Win the SEC title this year.
If that's the alternative, 100%. I'm just saying, like, play all the games on campus until the national championship game, and then let that rotate through the big 6 bowls or whatever. And I don't care. This is going to sound sacrilege because I'm a old school college football lover. I love all those old bowl games. I don't figure it out, dude. It's a business. You're obsolete now. Like, there's a playoff in place now.
I mean, in all reality, you could technically do it and then have the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl at Darrell K. Royal, Texas Memorial Stadium. Yeah, and it wouldn't be that crazy to do. So you could still technically tie in everything else. You just wouldn't get it to where they could, in advance, buy all the hotel rooms and everything else for, all their clients and everything to have their special setup. That would be more difficult, but you could still, the sponsorship part of it, you could still do. And you wouldn't be losing money on it, which is every conversation has to start and end with guys,
money.
You're not losing anything. You're not losing any money. You may maybe make some more. So you have to go in that route, because otherwise people just stare you blank in the eyes and go, oh, this isn't about academics or athletics or young men, or it's not about any of that. It's literally about making money, and the rest of you are just idiots who are along for the ride.
That's it.
And so, so it is always frustrating. It would be hilarious if you just got a recording out of those conversations, the commissioners, where they were probably just talking mad shit about everybody and these idiots over here don't. It's like, it's something terrible.
Oh, I'm sure. The after meeting drink sessions are pretty wild. Like at the hotel, in the hotel lobby bar. Yeah, that's where the truth comes out.
That's that one. I'll tell you this about Greg Sankey. I'll tell you right now. All right. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how that ends up going, because it is going to be a tough ride for Texas to figure out, at what point do you just get to go, we're going to be able to schedule what game, when, and then not have to play 6 playoff games. Like, that's the crazy part about last year, was still, when you look back at it and go, we did win 2 playoff games. It feels like we had this abject failure at the end, but they're like, we still didn't win 2 playoff games, which is remarkable considering. Let's take a quick break here, Sean. We got Sean Redford from the Horn Takes podcast joining me here on a Thursday afternoon. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. I want to talk about my our top 25 players list and see our top 25 plays list. See which ones you agree with. See if there was any that you had. Maybe we throw in some memory lane about that. I also want to start working on because I saw this on NFL, our ESPN. They did the NFL last half century or last quarter century roster. So I'm looking at Texas. So I've got some players on that list as well I want to go over with you. We'll start that one up. We'll start seeing where we've got and what players we need to find. So we'll do that along with you guys in the chat and the text as well. Maybe some other talk as well. We'll get to some finals predictions for tonight as well before we get off the air. But we're going to keep it rolling here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Dan Culver with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Culver BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Culver, born and raised in Austin.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
I got this, Dad. This is Camilla McKay, and my dad can help with any TV or stereo needs you have around your house. Just call him, and he will come to you with advice and a great price. And the guys that work for him are awesome. They can install anything, anywhere. So, like my dad says, just relax and smile. We handle all the work.
So just give us a call at 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Say hello to Jason and the gang over at Relax the Back. They embrace a holistic approach for a healthier lifestyle based on 35 years, folks, of proven expertise, and my back couldn't be happier. Their motto is live wellness, and folks, they can transform your routine, your daily routine, into something very, very special if you have back pain. If you're struggling with thoracic problems, if you've got hip problems, if you've got lumbar problems, please go over to one of their stores. They got 2 great locations, and find out a chair or a recliner or a sofa that's going to fit you and going to make your life a whole lot better. I've got this office chair right here that I've been sitting in for years, and I love it. 2 locations, folks, at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the Buck and Relax the Back.
SendTexTickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, any Broadway show, anything live coming to town, you got to head over to SendTexTickets.com. The best seats to all of the biggest events, not just here in Austin, but all over the state and all over the country as well. It's so easy to use. Just log on your phone or computer to SendTexTickets.com. All of their tickets are 100% guaranteed, and they will be delivered right to your phone or computer. So simple to use, and you're also helping to support a local business every time you shop. SendTexTickets.com. So if you want to be at the biggest events in sports and entertainment, there's only one place to go. It's SendTexTickets.com.
All right, back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Sean Redfern today from the Horn Takes podcast. Go and check that out. He keep you up to date very well with all that's happening in the College World Series and Texas baseball and Texas football, and get you ready and pumped up, and maybe have a beer with you on the live stream there.
Exactly.
Have a drink with you on the live stream, we'll say. I wanted to get in real quick before we get into more football talk. I did want to get into this for just a minute because we did get this released yesterday afternoon that Texas basketball has shown their opponents for next season. I have seen mixed thoughts about this, which is basically the thought is either, man, Texas is going to have a hell of a time on the road next year versus this sucks for people who have season tickets. I still think, look, I'm hoping that Sean Miller is putting a product on the floor that people want to go see and is going to be really exciting. That maybe it wasn't there the last couple of years. The offense was not as funny with Trey Johnson last year. I thought they weren't a terrible team, but the offense itself just wasn't ever running at a high level. It was a lot of ISO. So hopefully Sean Miller will get something going there. But yeah, when you look at this schedule and you see you're going on the road to play in Alabama and in Arkansas and in Auburn, all which teams were really, really good last year. Kentucky is going to be really good again. Tennessee's on that list. You got to play the Aggies again with whatever they're going to put together at the end of the season. You're going to play them at both. But yeah, it is a lot of the really good teams that you played are going to be gone. Ole Miss gets to come to Texas, though. So we will see the Chris Beard return to the building that he helped build. And that'll be an interesting one because he really was very pivotal in that building getting built and the corral and all that. But they are going to go after him because he taught them how to do it. It's like, in a movie when a guy teaches a dog how to be a killer and then the dog takes revenge. I feel like that's what the corral is going to be for Chris Beard, which is kind of just like, hey, man, serendipity, man. This is what happens in college sports.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I think the obvious question to ask is, will it be as bad as when Chris Beard went back to Texas Tech? And I think probably not. I don't think there's too many fan bases capable of that type of rioting.
No, I don't think it'll be that. But
then I wonder, it was wild when Beard was there. Part of that was, again, you said it, the product on the field or on the court. is the product on the court going to catch up quick enough to where people even care? I mean, because last year there was like games where there was not people there at all.
No, it fell apart at a certain point, and people, which it sucked, and it was just like there's a whole thing in basketball now, which it bothers me a ton. The narrative of basketball has gotten so off the rails that because of people who talk about basketball don't talk about it positively. And it's the only sport where people are allowed to do that in like powers of position. Like I just always look at the NFL, and you look at the NFL and you go, you don't think Terry Bradshaw thinks that these guys are all wimps now? Of course he does. But he goes on broadcast and he talks about how great they are. Yeah. And man, what a warrior this guy is out there. He played almost 3 full quarters. Like that's with Terry Bradshaw. No, because the NFL is making sure of it. And then they put Shaq out, and Shaq has been one of the worst factors for the NBA in the last 10 years because all he does is shit on everybody who is anything. Well, I would have been better than him. You're like, Dwight Howard is arguably one of the best players the last 20, 30 years. Like the guy's a 3-time defensive player of the year. He's been an all-pro like 6, 7 times. This guy did a ton for his career, and everyone's like, what a joke Dwight Howard is because of Shaq. And it's crazy. There's players, I mean, when you look at certain guys across, like the comparison that I can throw out there is DeMar DeRozan to Reggie Miller. And like accolades-wise, they're roughly the same for accolades. But Reggie Miller is an all-time great and a legend. And DeMar DeRozan is a bum who got traded off the Raptors before they won a title. You're like, accolades-wise, they're basically the same. You're like, just because the narrative has been so bad now, and it hit Texas basketball last year where people are unhappy because no one wanted Rodney Terry to keep that job. And, you know, there's differing opinions on why that is, but nobody really wanted him. They wanted to bring in about another big name, including Chris Del Conte, who we know wanted to bring in Sean Miller a couple of years ago. And it just didn't happen. He won enough games. He took that team to the Elite Eight, which still is a really good performance from that team. And from that point on, it was just this battle of no one was really going to sit and defend it enough. And the people who did were fighting a losing battle. And so I'm hoping that Sean Miller understands, and someone in the building could be like, dude, there's a lot of bad will that has been put onto this Texas basketball team and not fully deserved. This was still a tournament team the last couple of years. And I mean, now it was close last year, but they still were in the tournament. And people were acting like this team was not even making the CBI or like just so far out of it. And you're like, it's just, so it's a weird thing of the narrative that got out there. They really need to shift it back. I think there's going to be some big games early next year. You know, we'll have the Duke game that's going to be on the road. How they perform in that game against Duke is going to be big of trying to make people believe that this Texas team is going to be back to something that they're more likely to get into. The game against Virginia, if you can make that one interesting, Virginia likes to play the most boring basketball in the world. You can make that interesting. I don't know if that the list that we just showed you is in order, but Florida's coming. That's your defending national champion coming to Austin. What you can do in that game, like if those are games early in your season enough, and you don't even have to win all of them. Just be in them, be exciting in them.
Exactly.
Plays, and I think that you can start to change that narrative.
They lost Texas fans, even the ones like me that just aren't diehards. When I look up and see them losing to South Carolina, and the bottom line says South Carolina hasn't won an SEC game all season, and we're like past the midpoint of SEC. This isn't like 2 weeks into SEC play. The season overall was not that bad, but Texas fans in all sports do not like to get embarrassed.
No,
and that was embarrassing. And I think you look back and go, you know, what ultimately cost Rodney Terry his job at Texas? I think losing that game and then the home crowd just going away after that. Just Del Conte didn't have a choice. He's like, no, whatever shred of he was holding on to went out the window.
No, the reality was you saw it after last year, and then going into last year, like, so 2 years ago you saw it a little bit, but 2 years ago I think you saw that they're looking for an excuse to fire you. And then he walked into last year basically a lame duck, which is you got to win 2 playoff games to stay. Like unrealistic expectations for most coaches that are basically lame ducks is you got to make the Sweet 16, which is you have to be so good we can't fire you is the basic response of Rodney Terry. And at that point, he was just trying to keep any recruit he could. And he was trying to, and then it just fell apart because in the injuries and Tremont Mark coming back and forth, and then, didn't have a point guard. It just, everything kind of went bad. The only thing that sticks with me, and I again, don't dislike Chris Ogden, and I hope he does well. I think he should have taken way more blame for building that roster last year. And the fact that they were like, that was all Rodney Terry, like, he's the GM. Did he not have anything to do with that?
Yeah,
like maybe we should take a little bit of fun.
I think that's the rub, though, because when Rodney Terry got the job, like not the interim job, when they hired him, there's a lot of buzz online, and people were talking about, I don't know if Rodney Terry is really the guy we want, piloting our program.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reaction from the other side was, well, man, he can build a roster.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that was probably one of the big selling points was, hey, he's had a history of building, good rosters.
Yeah.
So,
he got Trey Johnson, which is really,
sure,
and again,
sure.
He fully got Trey Johnson because Trey Johnson's dad played for him at Baylor. That's the reason he came to Texas. So he got you Trey Johnson, but, and maybe that's one of the reasons he hadn't even had a job last year was because he had Trey Johnson. Like, well, we can't, lose a top 5 player in the NBA draft for this. But yeah, it just, at the end of the day, when you look at the schedule now, you really hope that they're able to bring it back. And it isn't necessarily toughest, but that could also be good because it means they could have a really good home record this year. And if you say bring it back to where Texas is, winning, has a 5 or 6 game win streak at home, and maybe that'll help bring the mood back a little bit more, because now we can say, even though they're still not fully there, they're a tournament team. Sean Miller's building them, and they've got the home court advantage, and make the fans part of that home court advantage, and more people will want to be part of it. So that's kind of your hope. I think if you look at that schedule, is I know you're not getting top tier talent coming in, but you maybe get some games where you can go win. And yeah, you play South Carolina where maybe you can get that win this year against South Carolina.
Yeah. Remember when you didn't have to be like a military strategist? All you had to worry about was just like winning games and stuff. Like, gone are the days, especially at a big place like Texas where you don't have to think about all that crap.
No, it's everything. It is everything that comes onto it. People complaining about jerseys and
what's wild? You talk about complaining. You probably see the tweets. People will tag CDC
on
in
everything
tweets, and he will answer them. God bless his soul. I don't know why he answers some of them, because they are some of the most ridiculous things to complain about. Like, it was hot. Can we do anything about the football game in September not being so hot?
I always love those.
It's Texas and it's September. It's hot.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah, and then no matter what you do, I know he did the smoke thing in the stadium. He did the smoke, and then the old school people are like, I couldn't see the field, and we're like, we're trying to create an environment, and no. We had the drones. Well, the drones were on the wrong side of the building. Could you get drones on my side of the building? I can't see out because my seats are too low, so I couldn't see.
You can't win for losing.
No, so there's always going to be something, and that's what part of what they pay you for these days is to deal with that kind of stuff. But for Sean Miller, I think he's been clued in a little bit, but like, I think I don't know if it's just so far out of his personality to be that guy, but you kind of want somebody that's a little bit more of a cheerleader to get people excited about it. I know I saw him like doing a thing at a frat or whatever else and trying to go out and be like, can't wait to see it. But every picture of him looks like he is somewhere where he wants to go home. Every single picture of him. And say, like, dude, you just got to get a little bit more excited, because that's how Chris Beard got the building built. Was he was out there and just going to everybody and being like, you got to keep packing the Irwin Center. You got to keep coming out to these events. So you come out to these, then maybe we can get you guys closer to the court. Maybe we can do it. And he just really kind of pitched his whole idea, and it worked, and it was great. I remember when he first came in too, he tried to do what they did at Tech to have all the kids run down on the court at the end of the game. But at Tech, they were closer, and it was more kids than, it wasn't just adults. And at the Tech game, it was just a bunch of drunk people going out on the court and spilling beer. Like, no, none of you all allowed out here.
Yeah,
kids are
never
allowed.
Come back.
So then they tried to do it with wristbands, and they tried to be like, okay, you have to get your green wristband to show that you're a student, and then green wristbands can come down at the end of the game. And then COVID hit, and it was like, no one's coming down here.
Yeah, that'll be the interesting thing. Like, how does he? Because there is a lot of different personalities, and I think today, I mean, a lot of people give Mack Brown a lot of grief, right? But I think Mack Brown was a guy that understood how to handle everything at the University of Texas.
Yeah.
It didn't always show up on the field the way everybody wanted it to, but you go back and look at his record over time, and that was a really that was like a glorious piece of time in Texas football history when Mack Brown was here. And a lot of it is because he just knew how to handle people.
Well, and that was like the players I've talked to and hung out with that were there when he came in have a different view of Mack Brown than everybody else does. Because they were like, we were running 6th Street. We got everything we wanted. We were the coolest kids in town. And Mack Brown came in, and part of his job when he got here was to be the disciplinarian and kind of clean Texas up some. And so he came in, and it was no more. You're not going back down there. You're not doing these things. And so there's still, it was still happening, but it was way less than what it was.
Sure.
Where they couldn't just go and be out every night of the week, and they couldn't, you're not supposed to be going down there and taking all these free drinks and getting drunk and getting arrested. And so he changed that, and those guys were like, man, he kind of ruined the party, but he was a really good coach. But then there was the point when OU kept beating him, and Texas went to him and was like, okay, well, you need to start winning these games. He goes, well, do you want to be clean or do you want to win? Because they're not the same thing. And Charlie Strong didn't have that switch. Charlie Strong was, it'll be a clean program. Like, well, can you win? It'll be clean.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's and Mac flipped that switch, and he went, we're still going to be pretty respectable, but we're going to be a little bit dirtier, and we're going to go get some of these players who maybe don't, maybe we need to let out of the cage a few times a week and let them go out and maybe get in a bar fight every now and then. And those big nasties on the offensive line are going to be mean people, and they're going to push a big hole open for everybody. And I think Mac understood that. And if you can get through that part of it, the rest of it is kind of a lot easier, because then he just had to go around and politic. And he is. I mean, you saw the recent interview. He was talking about, the last being at Texas too long and kind of losing steam. And the way he said his wife phrased it, it was 4 presidential terms. That's how long you were there. And that's the way. If you look at Mack Brown, he aged like a president.
He did.
And I think that's it. He just treated it like a politician and understood that. And then was on Saturday on game day was still a really good coach. But he tried to hire the best people around him, tried to figure out the way. And then he just had to call in every once in a while and go, it's Vince Young. Let him do what he wants to do. Stop yelling at Vince. Let him do. He's the guy.
Yeah. And, 12 years, you mentioned that. It's like that in the business world too, man. Like the professional world, you're only effective for so long because you can't just keep up the grind. You have nothing to make you excited anymore about the grind. You got to move to a new place and start a new piece of grind.
Yeah. And I mean, in Texas, you could tell. That was a joke I used to tell back in the day when it was, you were like, Mack Brown's computer screensaver is a beach. Like, you can just tell. He is one of those guys that when he looks at his computer screen, there is a beach on the thing, and he is thinking about drinking a Mai Tai with the ocean. He ain't thinking about recruiting. And that means we need to get a new guy in there. And you could just tell at the end that he was that type of guy. Because whenever you see that guy at the office, you're like, that guy's maybe working 3 hours.
Exactly.
Maybe 3 hours a day out of all 8, maybe. So we did this list. I know you shared it out there. We put together the preliminary. We put together our list here on Open Gym of the top 25 plays of the last 25 years for Texas. It is the fun part about it was everybody not realizing just that. I told this the other day. I was with my dad for Father's Day, and I told him that, and he goes, Vince Young, and he goes, okay, of course. And he goes, Stoney Clark. I go, Dad, Stoney Clark was in the 90s. And he goes, yeah. Last 25 years. He goes, yeah. Last 25 years, the year 2000. He goes, yeah.
That was going to be my number one comment. Is it's a damn shame that the 90s don't count anymore towards any of these lists.
Because that's the popular one now is, the 90s too. Is we all, believe me, if I think of 20 years ago, I think of like late 80s. Like, all right, mid to late 80s is 20 years ago. I know it's not, but in my head, that's still what I think.
That's what you see.
And so I get it. But yeah, we had to go like, no, last week we're like the end of Applewhite and Sims is what you have to think in your head. Is like end of Applewhite and Sims was the era that we're in. And there's just so many kind of forgotten years in it because they're the years you choose to forget. You don't want to, you just kind of lump some of them you're like, oh yeah, there was that time that Sam Ehlinger was quarterback, and we all love Sam, but there was just a time when Sam Ehlinger was quarterback. I couldn't tell you the year, but they'd happen. I'm sure of it.
Yeah,
so
no, there's a lot of good stuff.
But when you try and put that together, and then it was just kind of, you just keep finding more. And so we're like, it's going to be an incomplete list because it started and we were trying to find it. And I thought we'd get to like 8 plays. And then it just kept growing and growing. And then you're like, well, this one's there. So you can still tell the top tier of plays and it kind of goes down. And then we were kind of trying to stick some guys in there as well. But we do have our list and we finally ranked them. So I don't know if we're able to see this really well, but the top 25 list here is our honorable mentions because we had too many of them. So we had to throw some of those in where we get that Jordan Shipley punt where he almost hits Bevo, some game-winning field goals. The case that we gave the kick top treatment, but we had to put in the Case McCoy scramble because I want more people to watch that play all the time. It's the most fun run in college football is Case McCoy scrambling over for that.
Yeah, and like looking around and nobody's there to tackle him.
And then
like
getting hit
get tackled.
And then the longest tackle in the history of times, they're trying to strip the ball. And so the tackle's like 4 or 5 seconds of them just holding him up and Texas players literally tackling him himself. Like Texas players were the one taking him to the ground. Like, get down. We have to end this play.
we gotta kick a field goal, man.
First of all, we got to kick a field goal. Second of all, you are going to get this ball stripped. You are not strong enough. These are very big men coming after you. We also had Quinn Ewers. We put in the Alabama play in there because it's another one. We try not to put 2 of the same game in there a lot of times. And then we try to find one for Major Applewhite as well. So we've had to figure it was in that Holiday Bowl was when you'd find a Major Applewhite play. The funniest one is we put in Tyrone Swoops, and it is a stark reminder of that year.
Man.
But it's like the play itself in the moment, when you watch it and all that, it just a bubble. If you didn't know everything else, that if they go on to be good that year, that's a top 5 play in Texas last 25 years.
Yeah, I agree.
25 because they ended up sucking and so did Notre Dame.
Yeah, that was an interesting game because that was billed as like a really big non-con deal. Like it was supposed to be a huge deal.
I was running a tailgate that day for the Zone, and I was out there, and it was bonkers. Like, I mean, we had basically from fence to fence, like just packed the whole street, just flowing full of people for hours and hours for that game, of everyone being down there, even people that weren't going to the game. And it was just, everyone was so amped up for it. And then the game is everything you want. It goes to overtime and you're all pumped up about it. And then Texas wins, and the announcers too, Texas is back.
Texas is back.
Oh, good Lord.
That one killed us, man. That was where the whole Texas is back thing came from. And Sam Ehlinger saying it, which he didn't actually say we're back. He said we'll be back. He was just copying, the Vince Young deal from the Rose Bowl the year before the national championship.
Yeah, it's rough, but yeah, that was one of them we had to throw in there. There was one too, I think, where it was like we beat USC or we beat somebody, and then we were looking that one back up, and we're like, we'd already lost to Maryland. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's why these seasons are so bad. Is you're like, we'd already lost to Maryland. The season was already over.
Yeah. I just want to say that you guys did a really good job, because I don't think you can argue with any of these. These are just hard lists to make.
Yeah,
because you're talking 25, you got 6 honorable mentions, 31 things in the last 21 or 25 years. That's tough to narrow that down. You got Major Applewhite on. What's a really cool Major Applewhite play? The touchdown, one of the touchdowns against Colorado in the Big 12 championship game, where he throws this long bomb, and I don't even remember who he threw it to. Long touchdown pass right when he gets back in the game, and he starts bringing the comeback, and he points to the Colorado bench. You can tell he's running his mouth and he's pointing at the bench all the way down the field. That's like I don't know, man. You can argue Sims Applewhite, I won't do it, but you just had to love the way that guy played, man. He was just like a hothead for such a not big statured guy.
A guy who looked like he
looked like he was going to, I don't know what he even looked like he was going to teach Vacation Bible School or something, but he was a hothead.
No, And yeah, he would get in there and try and prove it, like the little guy always does, try and get in there and prove it, and then throw the balls that some of those still haven't landed. Some of those still in the air, just hanging up there.
Yeah.
Like, how is this not interception?
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
leave my couch, drive to the stadium, and get underneath that ball. This is crazy.
Yeah,
we
he did have
put
a
in-
loopy deep ball, man, for sure.
We did put in the Colorado Rod Babers pick 6 on the fake punt in there. I had to put Rod Babers in because me and Rod have worked together so many times over the years and
That's
done
fair.
the shows together. So I had to put him in, and that's always one of his favorite plays. And so he gets in there with the pick 6. That's, I think, the only one on here in a game that Texas lost. I think that's the only one. I think everything else is a Texas win. That one they should have won, and that should have been the turning point where they went back and won it. But then, Texas happened. This one, Danny Davis over at Austin American Statesman brought that one up, which I completely forgot about, which was the Jay Witt forcing the fumble. I thought the Ethan Burke goal line stop would have been a little bit higher, but it kind of got voted down and I get it. It was just in the moment. Again, that was such a huge, and I get people like, well, we would have won anyway. I still have that PTSD of being a Texas fan for too long.
Yeah.
And
Where
in
we
the last
don't.
3 or 4 years, and we blow so many games, and it felt like, are we going to blow this one? Like, they were about to score, make it a 3-point game, and Quinn Ewers is busted up. He's on bad wheel. We didn't know how bad his stomach still was and his obliques and all that. I mean, I think that there was a real chance that things went haywire at that point. We should have still won the game no matter what. I also just liked it because we always like it when it's a kid from Austin and a kid that like grew up wanting to be a Longhorn and actually understood what the rivalry was.
Sure.
Because so many people don't really get it. And so I think that there was some of that that I was like, I like that. I'm a fan of that one. Then we go on to next couple plays here. Jamal Charles getting the 80-yard run against OU. Jamal Charles had to get in there. The Chance Mock one, that one I'd forgot about because back in the day.
I was there, baby. That was, you know what? As an adult, that was my first Texas game in Darrell K. Royal. I'd been to Darrell K. Royal as a really small kid with my dad, but that was my first adult game. I just got back from Iraq, and I told my wife, I said, I found, and this is back in the day when you went on Craigslist to get tickets. I found a student pass ticket because apparently back then the students got a ticket and then they got a pass. That anybody could use, like parents or whatever. I bought a student pass ticket for, I don't know, like $55 or something like that, sitting right in the middle of the students for that play. And that was pretty badass. That was a good time.
I do remember when I was working for a band, so I wasn't going to school, I was touring with a band, and some buddies of mine were at Texas, and they were like, we got tickets, but they're in the student section. And I made a fake student ID. So if they showed it, I could flash it. And I still have it. I saw it the other day that I still have this thing. It's just like a card with like something pasted over the top of it. It's really poorly done. But I was like, it's hilarious that I had a fake student ID for Texas just so I could get into the student section. I was like, I don't even think they looked, but it was like, I was the right age. So it wasn't that surprising for me to be in there. I wasn't someone coming back grizzled. And they were like, what are you doing in here? Like, I'm supposed to be here. Don't worry.
I'm here, man. I'm a student.
I'm getting my third master's. Don't worry about it. We also got the Jaron Thompson interception. That was pivotal moment in Texas. Because again, we normally blow these games.
Mm-hmm.
We normally don't win it. And that one felt like, oh, we're finally turning that corner. We're finally winning. The defense is winning us games because we just hadn't had that up to that point. The Chris Sims after we had to put in the dislocated finger. Because you have to understand that was a part. And watching that back, it's so funny because he comes running over to the sideline and they pop his finger back in. And you just see him go, oh, and then he runs back out and goes for the next play. It was off a botch snap. And so there's a penalty because the botch snap. So he goes over and then they tell him because he got medical assistance, they have to call a timeout. And then 2 plays later, he puts the ball in the end zone to Roy Williams. But that was partially also Roy Williams just being Roy Williams. Like, you couldn't stop him. Bijan had to get in. Deontay had to get in. Roy Williams had to get in. The Cole Pittman game next. That was, that moment is still, when you go back and watch it, is an emotional moment and a really cool thing to, see him take the knee. And that was the beginning of them maturing into like Mac turning it into a real contender of a team versus just a good football team. Then the pump fake on the 80-yard touchdown run. You can't. Vince Young could have been 15
on here a lot. Yeah,
he could have been 15 with no issue at all. We got a couple more. We'll see if you agree with all of these in their position. If you think any of them, tell me, Matt. If you think any, or Sean, if any of these should be lower on the list, if any of these are not top 10 plays the last 25 years. The Lindale White Top. Some people thought this should have been like 3 or 4.
I do too. I think to me that has to go up the list because of the impact. I mean, I think so much of this is subjective, right? Like,
yeah,
or excuse me, it's objective. It's like, what do I think is great? Like, I was happy to see that touchdown pass from Mock to Sloan Thomas or BJ Johnson rather, because I was there. I have like a connection to that. But I think as a program, that stop on Lindale, I mean, I don't think there was any Texas fan on the planet that legitimately thought we were about to stop Lindale White after what he had already done to us the whole of that second half so far. I didn't think it was going to happen, and they did it. That's got to be up a little bit, I think. I mean, to me, if I'm doing it, I think it's got to go up.
I think that it could definitely move up on this list. The reason we pushed it down because we didn't want 2 plays from the same game in the top 5.
That's fair.
So it kind of got knocked down. We were like, let's give some other people, but it couldn't go any lower than 10. Is the reality where we're at. Right?
That's fair.
In the top 10. It could not go any lower than that. Vince Young's 4th and 18, which isn't even a touchdown play, and that one too is we hit 9 on our list. And if you just watch it, it looks like Vince Young isn't trying.
Right.
Which is why he'd be on him. You had to have the Cameron Dicker, the kicker line, had to get on there because and he's killing it in the NFL right now. Vince Young to Lima Swede, always a great one. The 94-yard kickoff return versus OU when they were down 14-3 and just changed that whole game. And then we're just getting into those big games of the Colt McCoy to Quan Cosby, win that in Ohio State. Justin Tucker, the game-winning field goal. Quinn Ewers, and this is the one: do you have Quinn Ewers and Matthew Golden 4th and 13? Is that in your like top 2, top 3 of all time now, or is that just recency bias?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, again, if you go by the situation and the impact of that play, it's gotta for sure be a top 5. Like, if someone says that's not a top 5 moment in the last 25 years, I'm going to argue with them. Yeah. But, and I think it's fine at 2. It's certainly not 1 because it didn't win us a national championship. No. But sure, I think top 2 or 3. I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I think that's a legitimate place to stick it.
No, I think it's one of those things. Going back and rewatching a lot of that, especially the overtime, I went back and rewatched it while we're doing this, and there is a certain amount of it where you go, okay, there was still a lot of football left to be played, and the Andrew Makuba interceptions up there as well. But you just go, the amount of stress that was on everyone at Texas's head at that moment, that if they don't pick that up, we're talking to me and Matt, we're talking about, if they don't pick up that play, then when they're talking about college football playoffs, they're like, well, Arizona State beat Texas, so we have to have these people. Like, the conversation changes because you get that type of upset. So I think it's, just being able to take that out of the conversation, even though it was right there. In all reality, too, you can sit there and go, it's Bert Auburn. But that's still up there. And, of course, number 1, that was probably the easiest number 1 in the history of these polls. It's the number 1 play of all time. It should have been on ESPN's list of number 1 plays. It was 4 on that list. It should have been 1 on college football last 25 years. It's one of the greatest plays in college football history. Yeah. Like that, no one feels that was not a no-brainer on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, these are so hard to do. Like when you tagged me in that, I think it was Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the pool and I've had a few drinks and that pops up and I actually looked at it and I thought it was just a post. I didn't even realize you had tagged me in it. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking through it. And then I put my phone down and I pick it back up and then I realize you tagged me in it. So I'm like, shit, I better look at this. So I better actually do some diligence on this. And I start looking through it and I'm like, man, this is hard. This is really hard. You know what? It's an omission and I'm not saying it's an omission like anything should be in there because I can't think of a specific moment, but a player that's not in that list that you probably thought would be Cedric Benson.
Cedric Benson's not in it. Sam Ellinger's not in it.
Yeah.
Like it's just those guys. For surprisingly, it was one of those things where you started trying to find.
You try to find the Cedric Benson like big moment. I mean, maybe the little screen pass against Arkansas on the road.
Yeah,
little dump pass where he takes
I'm
it.
sure
30.
there's something there.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. There's not one that immediately sticks out in your brain. Which a lot of those were immediate stick out in your brain. Go, oh, that moment. And so I'm with you. Like Cedric Benson, we'll get into it in just a second. But Ced Benson is surprising, very surprising, not on there. And Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger played for a long time. He's an elite quarterback at Texas.
Like 100 years he played at Texas. And
and all those pieces. And I'm sure you could find some where you're like, oh, that's the one. But because the seasons, like they just didn't play in a lot of games that mattered a ton.
Exactly.
And I think that was kind of the problem. So maybe somewhere in the Sugar Bowl or in that season, you could say there was something in there that, okay, that play won you the game. But it felt like those Tom Herman teams won by 30 or blew it late. Like there was one Sam Ehlinger where like, oh, that play, but you're like, that play put him up 21 points. They then went on to get scored on 3 times by OU and then had to kick a field goal to win it. You're like, so yeah, it's a weird place in there because the play's great, but what happened after it kind of takes away from it a little bit. So so I think that you could still, if you wanted to, put those in. The honorable mentions could be another 20, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
This one's in there, and this one's in there, and this one's in there. But yeah, I do appreciate when people go, this is the play, and then have a highlight, because I've watched every single one of those plays that's on the list, and they're all awesome. And I'm gonna try and figure out a way to post something of all of them, and hopefully not get it taken down. That's trying to figure out the way, because it's like 8 minutes to cut them all together. It heads up. It was like, oh, it'll be like 5 minutes, 4 minutes. It's like, oh man, this is trying to get everything in the context of it and trying to make it click and put it all together. But so maybe that'll come out.
Forward to that.
I want to put it out because I think it'll just, every Texas fan will be like, this is it. This makes me hungry. And then, maybe I'll wait till we get a little bit closer to football.
Yeah, it'll take you that long to get it all edited up and everything anyway.
Maybe that way I'll wait a little bit more so you don't want to get too excited and then be like, what's it? 70 days? 70 days still? Okay.
Yeah, we're right at 70 days.
So
yeah, what are we? I got a countdown on my phone, man. I'm going to find it out right now.
Maybe I'll put it out. I think we're at like 71, 72, something
72
like that.
days.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we all know. It's not hard to tell. Also, shout out to my man CB who posts something every day. So if I see that, I can know when it's going to be. I did want to talk about this. You'll be the first one on this list that I'm putting together. ESPN also did a thing, which was the quarter century team for the NFL. 3 Longhorns on it, which I was pretty excited that 3 Longhorns made the quarter century team for the NFL. One of them was a real surprise, but Justin Tucker, no big surprise. Best kicker the last 25 years. Earl Thomas is on the list as safety. But number one running back the last 25 years by their algorithm and everything they put together, Priest Holmes.
Priest Holmes, that's a forgotten guy.
Dude, it is. And
amazing career. And I mean, arguably, I don't even think it's arguably, his NFL career was better than his college career. And it wasn't because he wasn't good. It was because there was a lot of good running backs on the roster.
No, and I mean, and for Priest too, was like his peak in the NFL was unrivaled. His peak in the NFL when he was just dominating and the yards rushed and touchdowns every year, like that, they were like, his 3 to 4 year span is as good as anybody's in NFL history. So he has to be the guy, because how we're judging this and only putting it into like, it's not about who played 12 years in this last year. It's like, who's the guy? So but I loved it. I love that Texas gets on there with Priest Holmes. But he will not be on our list because he played at Texas before the year 2000.
That's true.
So I put together someone. So this is still in the 53-man roster format of an NFL 53-man roster.
Gotcha.
I know, because it would be a pain in the butt to name offensive linemen out to get to 85. It was enough to get the offensive linemen. We're like just naming all the starting offensive linemen at that point for the last 25 years. Because they're like the left tackle, and then you get the guards, and so there's certain guys, and maybe a couple of them we could fight about. I'm sure I've left them off too, but I want to get to just your general opinion of this, as you'll get the first run of it, and if I'm leaving anybody blatant off the list, and there's one position we have to discuss, and we'll start there. We'll start with the quarterback. I think the quarterback's an easy one. Vince Colt and Sam Ehlinger. We're gonna have 3 guys. It's Vince, Colton, Sam. I know Quinn Ewers is great, but I feel like Sam's going to pass Quinn Ewers because of what he meant to the school and everything. So I know that Quinn's gone to 2. I think that'll be a discussion. I'm sure Matt is going to have something to say about that, but I put it Vince and Colt are no-brainers. And then it's either Sam or Quinn. And are you Sam or Quinn on this one? Because Quinn, two college football playoffs, but
yeah, I mean, I think I think it depends. So what's the criteria? Are we talking about impact on the program, or are we talking what they did with what was there type of impact? Because I think I think who I would pick changes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of all up in the air of, everything of what they meant to what they were able to do.
Yeah.
To just, and then
I don't think you can leave. I don't think you can leave a guy that took the team to the playoffs 2 years in a row out of the top 3 when nobody else has done that.
No, I agree. And it won a playoff game too. Again, that's going to be the conversation. That third spot is the conversation. So I appreciate. So we got 1 vote from Sean for Quinn on this, and we're going to say, but keep trying to put. By the way, anybody in the chat wants to chime in on this or on the text line, code of text line's open 512-222-9328 is the code of text line. If you want to chime in on this, we'll keep going through it with you and our guest and Matt and everybody we get on here. All right, the running back position also a little bit. So this is where we slide a little bit too. So on the NFL one, they had running backs and fullbacks. So I have a fullback spot on here. I think we may just go to 4 running backs.
Let's do that.
Because the fullback I have is Will Matthews, who I love, and we went to high school together. He's been on the show. Will Matthews is awesome. But there's another running back that I'm leaving off of this list that I really feel should be on it. So I may go with 4 running backs on this one. But Cedric Benson's, of course, on it. Bijan Robinson has to be on it. And so that puts you down to, I have Jamal Charles, and then you have to put Deontay Foreman. So I'm like, Deontay Foreman because Deontay Foreman was a beast at Texas. And so I'm like, those 4 seem like they all have to be on there. So I'm probably going to eliminate the fullback, put it to 4 running backs, keep us at our 53-man roster. But
I think that's fair. And Jamal Charles was the name that popped into my head after you said Bijan and after you said Ced. So I think we're in lockstep on that one. And my man Foreman ran 70-something yards with his shoe off against Tech, won the Heisman inexplicably. The interesting thing about the whole Foreman thing is the Foreman brothers come to Texas, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the other brother was the more coveted player. Like the guy that it was, again, nothing against Armani or Dante, but it's like he was kind of like maybe the offer to get Armani to come type of deal. And he ends up being the guy that blows up. And if I'm not mistaken, still has a career in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I know the injuries have hampered him some. He's kind of been in and out. But yeah, no, I mean, just an entire beast at Texas. All right, wide receivers. I got Roy Williams.
Got to have him.
Jordan Shipley.
Yep.
Quan Cosby.
Yep.
Xavier Worthy.
Yep.
Limas Swede.
Yep.
BJ Johnson.
BJ Johnson. That's an interesting. You know what? I don't hate it, but Matthew Golden's not on that list.
Because Matthew
AD
Golden
Mitchell
played
not on that list.
And those guys did 1 year. I might take off a little bit more. Because, like, to me, Xavier Worthy has to, and these guys played 2 or 3 years for Texas.
That's
so
fair.
I give them a little bit more. Their stats are going to be way bigger. Matthew Golden's a man. I love Matthew Golden. He was awesome. If he would have stayed another year, he'd probably be on this list.
Yeah.
But he had to go be a first-round draft pick.
I know, right?
Go get to the NFL. So I think there's still guys you could put on there. Matthew Golden's definitely in a shout. But, I lean towards the guys who played a few more years. It feels like and also, that also feels a little bit more recency bias too, to go, let's put 3 guys from the last couple of years. But I mean, there is still a bunch of guys from back in the day.
Yeah. Well. No, I mean, I don't think a lot of Texas fans are going to have a problem with that list you threw out there.
No, I don't think so either. But I think that's right about where you want to be. You could, like, Sloan Thomas is one of those guys that's around that era and maybe in there. So I think there's some that you could put in there, but that's where I'm going to go with those. Do you have any other wide receivers you would put in other than the guys from recent?
Man, I'm thinking like, and I couldn't even tell you his stats, and I honestly can't tell you his last name right now. Colin, he was there when Yeah, Colin Johnson
Colin
would be a
Johnson's piece too.
yeah. He might be a guy to consider.
All right, I'm gonna write his name down so we have his name in consideration there. Tight ends. I got David Thomas, Bo Scaife, and Jermichael Finley. Who am I leaving off of that list?
You're leaving off Gunnar Helm, who's led I mean, you can say recency bias all you want, but he had the greatest tight end season ever at Texas.
He did have a beast of a season. I was thinking more JT Sanders in my head. So I'm like, Sanders was really, really good. But yeah, Gunnar Helm might be on that list. Gunnar Helm might get in there. I like that.
I love the David Thomas pick. I mean, that dude was awesome. Bo Scaife was a really good one. Jermichael Finley, interesting. Like if you look at what like stats, like great player, right? But do we really want to call him a tight end? Like, cause he didn't really play. I mean, that's what he got recruited as, but he wasn't lining up on the end of the line of scrimmage and like blocking people.
No,
he wasn't that kind of tight end. He's like an Amari Nyblack type of tight end that's out wide and just a big
type
body.
Who doesn't play for Sark.
Right. So I don't know, man. I really Jermichael Finley was outstanding. A lot of big plays.
No, I like that. I like Helm being thrown in there to add into the conversation. I like that. That's a good call. All right, now we get to the offensive line. It's a little more difficult, and maybe some of these guys possibly played at other positions, but I'm going to put them in so I can make the list work. For left tackle, I had Kelvin Banks and Connor Williams.
Yep.
Left guard, I had Casey Studdard and Trey Hopkins.
Casey Studdard, man. He was going to be a guy if you didn't say his name. I was gonna be like, what?
No, Casey has to be on
you talk about mean offensive lineman. That guy was like just nasty.
He was. Casey's been on the show before. I take all my former co-hosts and put them on there. So
that's fair.
Casey's on that list. Center. All right. Center, I have a line here. I have 3 centers on my list. So I need to get rid of one of them. So who would you take? And if there's another one, you can throw it in there too. Who do you take between Jake Majors, Zach Shackelford, and Lyle Sinline? I think those are all really good centers for Texas.
Man. Yeah, they are. If I got to pick one, man, I think I got to go with Sinline. He was on a national championship team.
Yeah. I got to go with because that's the thing is I had Jake Majors and Zach Shackelford on the list, and I was like, oh, well, there's Sinline too. I got it.
Yeah.
You got to throw him in there.
Center is like the position that everybody yells at when they don't do something right, but nobody remembers who they are when they did it all right. That's a tough one.
And Jake Majors is one of those guys where you're like, he probably would be the least talented of the 3, but also you just go what he's done for Texas last and just starting over and over and started the most games for Texas, all those pieces.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you got to be on the list.
He's got to be on the list of the conversation for sure.
Yes. Over at right guard, I got Derek Dockery, and then DJ Campbell I have on my list right now because I didn't have another right guard over there.
Yeah, Dockery is one. Man. Yeah, I mean, Campbell, who played right guard on the national champion? It was Dockery, wasn't it, on the national championship team?
I think so.
Yeah. Nothing's popping out at me right now. I tell you, there's probably some guys from the 90s that would pop out at me when they were just blowing, the size of my house open.
Oh, yeah. That was the thing is I kept thinking, I was like, oh, no, that guy was 90s. That guy, like, just, and I'm looking him up and like, no, wasn't in that run. There we go. Right tackle, I have Justin Blaylock and Sam Cosme.
Sam Cosme. Yeah, but Blaylock's a no-brainer to me. Interesting that a lot of these guys were off that 2005 national team. That was a really good offensive line.
Well, that's what's funny is you look at it and you look in the Colt McCoy years, you're like, that offensive line just didn't stand out that much.
Yeah, no, it really didn't. I mean, I think, you know what? I think until Sark got here, we sort of progressively got worse at run blocking. Despite the fact that we had some really big running back years, we weren't well rounded. I'll say that. So yeah, I mean, I think Blaylock's a guy there that you gotta. What about Scott? Jonathan Scott. Was he a tackle or a guard?
I'd have to go back and look.
I'm fixing to look.
Camera off the top of my head.
He's a guy I know that was pretty good.
Yeah. Because too, I looked at somewhere on the list too. You were looking at who got drafted to the NFL, but then you have to look at who actually played well at Texas, because that list is, those are not the two same things. Sometimes you're a badass college player, you just didn't have the size, so the NFL didn't take you the same spot. But yeah, we'll put Jonathan Scott as a
he was an All-American.
Yeah, so we'll put him out there. It's. I think that there is some other guys, but yeah, they basically until the Pancake Factory. And they figured out that, and that was the beginning of, all right, let's really rebuild this whole line. And I think, it just, for whatever reason, I know that it was probably also in the fact of how recruiting went, that Oklahoma came in and was trying to take all those offensive linemen, and that like all the other schools were really, really pushing on offensive linemen out of Texas. And Max started to lose those battles, and that was the downhill turn of Texas. When you don't have an offensive line, everything starts to struggle a little bit more. Dan Neal was amazing. He was not in the last 25 years.
Exactly.
Appreciate listening, Antoine. But we're doing like the quarter century team. So the best players of the last 25 years. Because, yeah, once we get into the 90s, those 90s offensive lines were mean dudes.
Yeah.
And there were some big dudes. Like, Leonard Davis in there and those big boys.
Yeah, big Leonard. You're mentioning Mac Brown and the offensive line recruiting. I felt like towards the end of his career at Texas, he started opting more for project type guys than like guys that could come in and help. And he was really averse to bringing in big guys. And I know why. He thought they couldn't move. There's the stereotype that some of these a lot of these offensive linemen today, if they were not just bigger dudes, they would be like defensive end type guys and like really athletic position players, because they are very athletic guys. They're just carrying a little extra biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It is like, and yeah, I mean, that is one of those pieces where you're like, you could have gotten those guys and taught them. But yeah, it did feel like he was always trying to find the diamond in the rough that maybe was a little bit easier to get than really having to go full bore and, man, I'm gonna have to pull some shady, nefarious things to get this guy to come in. And no, I'll just go get the guy I can get. I'll get him. But
he had to have his recruiting class sewed up by spring the year before every time. So I mean, and he did that spectacularly.
Yeah, that's always crazy. Let's go to that defense. Our edges, our defensive ends. I got Jackson Jeffcoat, Alex Okafor, Corey Redding, and Brian Robinson.
I don't have a problem with that list at all. I mean, I think you know who was a guy? Mike Williams. Do you remember a guy named Mike Williams? I think he only played 1 year at Texas, might have gotten some trouble. He was an edge guy, and I remember going to a game at Baylor 1 year, and I think he had it seemed like he had 1 million sacks in that game. Yeah, Tim Crowder's a name. I think another name, Brian Arakpo.
Rakpo's going to be a linebacker for us.
Okay, fair enough.
We're going to throw him in the linebacker conversation. But yes, I agree with you that he is another guy that could be there. Tim Crowder's another good one there. I'll throw his name on the list so we can bring in the conversation of it.
Did we have Sergio Kendall? I mean, Sergio Kendall
was being our linebacker as well.
Okay.
Because those are the guys that went to the NFL as linebackers, so we threw them into that conversation to make that list a little bit more full as well. Like when you're in the DBs, and you're like safeties and DBs and this one's here, and we got to put these in to fit the best guys in. So yeah, we have some of those guys that came off the edges sometimes, but they're the Ant Hill guys,
right?
Anthony Hill, where he's going to come off and go. He's still going to get you all those sacks, but he is a linebacker. He's going to drop back a little bit too. But yeah, both those guys are in the list there. Defensive tackle. This becomes tougher because you have all the winners recently, but then you also want to go back. But you're like, Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat feel like they both have to be on that list. I mean, Tavondre Sweat won the Outland.
Yeah.
He feels like he's got to be on there. But then I put on Malcolm Brown and Marcus Tubbs because of those guys got picked high. But I feel like there's still other guys that are on there that were really good defensive tackles for Texas that are just not like – and I mean, Keandre Coburn was really good and Alfred Collins recently, but I don't know if they're in the top – like that one's a really tough position.
Roy Miller got to be on this list.
Roy Miller was on there too. Like all those guys, because it's like once you get into it, it just feels like, because I had Roy Miller as somebody that was right off of it, but he feels like remembering Roy Miller, I remember him as unstoppable. And then I'm like, So I'm with you. He falls in that conversation though, for sure. But yeah, and I feel like there's still one or two other guys.
There's got to be some other guys I'm not thinking of. Like it's just not clicking in my head. Stoney Clark for the old guys out there.
Tony Clark again. Our linebackers. I got Derek Johnson, Brian Arakpo, Demo, Sergio Kindle, and I put in Anthony Hill. He's already been here 2 years. That's as many as some guys play, and he's been one of the best guys on one of the best defenses in the country the last couple of years. So I
I don't have a problem with any of those names. What was the kid? We pulled him out of Ohio. He plays for the Eagles now. He's a 5-star guy. Man, what was his name? I can see his face. I can't think of his name.
Oh,
he was really good. Another guy that was really good was he played for
Jordan Hicks. Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah, Jordan Hicks is the guy at Ohio I was talking about. Malik Jefferson is a guy.
Yes, that was another one that, and he falls into the years that were kind of down, but he was such a bright light in those years.
Rod Wright. Antoine says Rod Wright. I think he's got to be on that list for defensive tackles for sure.
Yeah, that was another one. That was another one that I had not put on my list, but is definitely in the conversation for sure. So I like this. We're adding a couple names. We'll whittle them down as we go through this over the next week or so. We'll keep whittling them down. All right, now we get to the DBU. And this is where you got to remember. So some of the names will not be on here because they're on the safety list. I have 6 cornerbacks and 4 safeties.
Okay.
So I have 10 guys on this list. My cornerbacks are Aaron Ross, Quandre Diggs, Rod Babers, Jade Barron, Quentin Jammer, and Nathan Vasher.
Vasher, Jammer for sure. Jade Barron, I think he's got to be on the list.
I mean,
what's the other ones?
Won the third board.
Yeah, you're right.
Rod Babers, All-American. Quandre Diggs, I think All-American, and Aaron Ross, I think All-American. Like, I think they're all All-American.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. No, I don't like that. Seems accurate to me.
And then going over to the safety with Earl Thomas, Kenny Vaccaro, Michael Huff, and Michael Griffin.
Yeah, Griff, Huff, they've got to be on there.
Earl Thomas got to be on there.
Earl Thomas got to be on there. What about a guy? What's that kid that I think he plays for the Broncos now?
Caden Stearns. Caden Stearns was another one I looked at.
Yeah, well, there's another guy too that maybe he doesn't play for the Broncos. He plays for I can remember his number. I can't remember his name. I think he was number 4. He was pretty recent. Damn it. Being old sucks. I can't remember his name, but he's in the NFL right now, had a really good career. I mean, your safeties that you name, though, it's going to be hard to knock those guys off the list.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it becomes that place of like.
He's not going to be better than those guys. Like, probably in the conversation, but not better than those guys for sure.
Yeah, because I know there's a couple guys that are always at every position. Then you're like, a DBU, that's just really, really hard. And Jade Barron gets on there. I mean, he won the Thorpe Award. Deshaun Elliott is who.
Yep, that's my guy. That's the one I was thinking.
You're much better photographic memory than me. My memory is not great. Maybe it's because of the drinking. So we'll go down. But yeah, we'll put Elliott on that list as well. Someone to bring into the conversation, but it is hard to knock any of those guys off. Kicker is Justin Tucker. I feel like we're okay with Justin Tucker. He's the bad man. Punter is Michael Dixon. Again, feels like that's not that hard.
The dude was the MVP on his team.
For the Texas Bowl.
Yeah.
For the Texas Bowl, one of the Texas Bowl MVP. My long snapper is Nate Boyer. Feels like a given on that one. When I'm trying to think of long snappers' names, it's like, well, I can think of one off the top of my head, so he's going to be on the list.
He's on the list.
And then our return specialist. I put in Deshaun Jameson. I think Vermont Taylor is the one that you could kind of throw in there, but he didn't have any touchdowns doing it. But I think he has still the kickoff return most yardage average is Vermont Taylor.
That's probably true. Jordan Shipley's got to be a guy. I'm pretty sure he's returned a touchdown.
But so I didn't put Shipley on there because he's already on a wide receiver.
Okay, fair enough.
So that was the deal. Is like you could put a couple of guys from the cornerbacks or the wide receivers, but they're already on the team. So they can't be on. As much as I would love to have them on the team twice and have multiply some of these guys, because I would have loved that to have 2 Jordan Shipleys on the TVs. But so that's why I was trying to figure out the guy who isn't already the top wide receiver at cornerback, the biggest athletic freak, but is still someone that was known. Deshaun Jameson had, I believe, 3 touchdowns coming back. DJ
Antoine says DJ Monroe. That's a guy I was thinking too. A lot of talent, just didn't quite. I mean, I think he did good stuff in the return game, but I don't think we got as much out of DJ Monroe as we thought we were going to get.
Yeah, because there was a few guys that were going to be it. I mean, hell, Matthew Golden was another guy who was like going to be it. Silas Bolden was going to be it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard. It's hard to put those together. And sometimes it is just a position player because now the other team's not necessarily as prepared for it. And Ramon's Taylor, like, it's a running back. You can stop a running back, or, you know, there's a DB back there. Not this dude. This is what he does. He's shifty. Make sure you get on him here. He's scouted for. All right, last couple of things we have before we go to the last break of the day. Coach, I put Mac Brown. He won a title.
Fair enough.
He was there for, what,
12 years,
16,
14 years, something like that. Yeah.
He was there to like 2015, 2014, something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So he was there for enough of the 2000s that he's going to get it by time, and he won the Natty. So and he went to another one. So he definitely gets that one. I cheated on the offensive coordinator on my list because I didn't necessarily know somebody else was going to put on there. I put Sark on there because he is the offensive coordinator and head coach. So I cheated to put him on there.
Brian Harson's got to be a guy I think is on there. Brian Harsin, just simply because of the razzle dazzle.
Yeah. But he was short term, but
he was
good while he was here. And then I put for my defensive coordinator, I put Dwayne Akina.
Greg Davis, man. We got to get Greg Davis on the OC list.
We're not putting Greg Davis on this list. There's no way. The whole list becomes invalidated if I put Greg Davis on there. I get he won a national championship, but that's because it was Vince Young. The whole list is invalidated. And I'm a Davis, and I'm telling you it's invalidated.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And then defensive coordinator, I put Dwayne Akina on there because I think you go PK at this point. He's put together some really good teams, but Dwayne Akina was the DC during that 05 season, co-DC during that, I believe, with Gene Chizik.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got Chizik, you got Muschamp.
Muschamp is really good, but I put Akina because he built DBU and now he's back. So I'm gonna put him on there as like Dwayne. You get your flowers on this one because I think Muschamp is up there as well. But and then there's so many guys that were awesome. Muschamp was one of the only guys who was awesome and then didn't stick around long enough to be terrible.
Yeah, what was the guy? Manny Diaz. Is it Manny Diaz?
Yeah, but Manny Diaz stuck around for too long. Manny Diaz was there, and then it fell completely
apart. Yeah, and honestly, like as good as they were statistically, I never was a fan.
Yeah.
I don't like that 3 deep stuff.
No, and then he brought in well, what's his name? The quarterback that just went to Duke.
Malik Jefferson. Malik Murphy.
Yeah, Malik Murphy. Brought him in and we had the whole thing, and then a year later was like, all right, bye. That didn't work out. Bye. See you later. Yeah. The whole story about how he was destined to be. It's all kind of BS. So there it is. That's a list. Think about that, Sean. If you have any more names you want to throw at me, feel free to text me or tweet at me. You can tweet at me as well at those. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, wrap things up. We'll give our picks for who we think's going to. Do we think there's going to be a new NBA champion crowned tonight, or will there be a game 6? That'll happen tonight as well. We've got about 5 minutes left. So we'll get back to that after we hit this last break. We'll hit a little bit of that, and we'll roll it up on a Thursday afternoon episode here of Open Gym.
At Sleep Cycle Center, we can treat your sleep apnea in various ways. My story starts 15 years ago with the loss of my father to undiagnosed, untreated sleep apnea. And this is a very preventable disease, and treatment options are various. Millions of people across America have sleep apnea, and they fail to realize the early warning signs. Fatigue, daytime sleepiness, and snoring are the most common signs. We'll find the best solution using advanced technology, oral and epigenetic appliances, or CPAP. We offer weight loss, oral surgery, and laser treatments. Schedule your appointment today and get your sleep evaluation.
If you're looking to remodel a kitchen, renovate your bathroom, or maybe add some new life to your outdoor space, reach out to our friends at McCall Custom Homes. They are custom home builders and renovators here in Central Texas, and they've been doing it in Central Texas for more than 40 years. It's a father-son team with a ton of experience, and all of that experience is here in the Austin area. So they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly, truly special. Right now, our friends at McCall Custom Homes are offering free estimates to TSU listeners so they can come out to your place, hear your vision, they can tell you what they can do, and then you can go from there. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their website, McCallCustomHomesATX.com. Look at the gallery of jobs they've done over the last 4 decades. And then when you're ready, again, reach out to them and they will come to you. McCall CustomHomesATX.com, or you can call or text Mike McCall directly at 512-633-9580. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Hi, everyone. This is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been serving and assisting customers in the Texas area
I think I got this by now, old man. This is Camilla McKay, Audiovisual's social media and website manager. Our company has been helping you sit back and relax for the last 37 years. We come to you, and we're the kind of workers you want in your home. We give you all the advice at a great price, and we do a lot more than just audiovisual systems. We have employees capable of performing services like electrical contracting, heated floors, motorized shades. Am I forgetting anything, old man?
Yeah, we do surveillance systems, controlled lighting systems, and landscape lighting, computer networks, multi-room audio systems, and of course, we install some really cool theaters.
I had a feeling you were going to say that last one.
Now, am I forgetting anything?
Only this. Remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
So give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
That's 512-255-8678.
All right, back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered, wrapping it up here on a Thursday afternoon. I appreciate you, Antoine, for hanging out with us and giving us all the answers. That you're quicker on Google or quicker in your brain than we were on Google. I should say that. Doing a good job. Appreciate you tuning in. Everybody tuned in. Myself, Patrick Davis, today with Sean Redfern of Hornet Takes Podcast. Sean, tell everybody where they can find you and what you got coming up here in the next couple days.
Yeah, you can find us at Horde Takes. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We've got a show tonight at 7:30. I'll have Mark and Zach. We're going to talk College World Series. Is Arkansas cursed? We're going to talk a little bit about the Texas roster moves that have been made recently in the transfer portal, and a little bit about the guys that are playing summer ball in the Cape and on the West Coast leagues and all that stuff.
There you go. Like it. Get you all caught up there with everything you need to know for Texas baseball and the College World Series. I trust Sean to give you the best information as well. If you missed it earlier, he already schooled me on what was happening in the College World Series. So we got that going for us. Tonight, Game 5 of the NBA Finals, Game 6 of the NBA Finals. We'll see if it forces a Game 7. Indianapolis is down to their last out. We did just get the report Tyrese Halliburton will play. He's dealing with a calf strain, but Rick Carlisle just said a couple minutes ago that Tyrese Halliburton is going to suit up for the Pacers. We know their bench players play way, way better at home. OKC's bench players, maybe not so much. OKC's still a 6.5-point favorite. Tyrese Halliburton feels like he hasn't been the same guy. I don't know. I'm rooting Indy. I want a Game 7. Game 7s are the best. Sean, have you been keeping up with this at all? Or
I have not been keeping up with this at all, other than just in passing. Right? I know the Thunder the Pacers took Game 1, and then wasn't there like some game where maybe it was Game 1? Wasn't there a game where the Pacers were like killing it and then just kind of blew it? Was that in this, or was that the Western?
Yeah,
Conference?
That was Game
the Eastern
4.
Conference. Fun.
That was Game 4. That the Pacers could have taken a 3-1 lead, and it felt like they had the lead, and then it just kind of fell apart at the end, and all of a sudden it was all OKC, and they got the win, and now they've won the last 2. And last game, Pacers pushed it back to 2 points. It was kind of OKC all game. They pushed it back to 2 points at the end, and then it completely fell apart. And it was like a 10-0 run from the Thunder, and they never looked back. Tyrese Halliburton was a non-factor because he's been dealing with this calf strain. They're playing super physical against him and just bumping him at half court, basically. And it is just worn him out. But, yeah, 6.5-point favorites. I know you root for a Game 7 because everyone roots for Game 7s.
Yeah, I mean, I would root for a Game 7. Game 7s are great. I got to look at it, though, and this is going to be totally unscientific. There's only been 2 road wins in the finals so far, right? The Pacers got one, the Thunder have one. The Pacers got lucky in theirs, man. I think the Thunder won theirs by a little bit more. so I'm going to say I think the Thunder go on the road. And you talked about the injury to Halliburton. I think they're going to go on the road and wrap it up, which sucks for the fans because they want to see that happen at home. Like in a game, you got to think OKC's winning it, right?
Yeah, but screw them. It's Oklahomans. I don't care what they think.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, win it on the road. We don't care about those people.
Win it on the road. Screw you,
Yeah.
Oklahomans. I got to move on. We got to keep the feud going in the offseason. We got to keep it going. All right, man, Sean, I appreciate you so much for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow for more from Open Gym. But until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you right back here for more tomorrow from Open Gym.
Appreciate it.